Hey everyone, hope you guys are well. Just let me know if the audio is fine and just get started. Yeah, unfortunately, I think there's so much kind of injury news and things like that. We just kind of have to manage that situation. I still haven't made my move for this week, to be honest. I really wanted, I think, initially to go to Menu to Sobo. Then it seemed like Calafiori was fine. I don't think Calafiori is fine, which is kind of why I held off on a move, kind of like Hincapié to Gabriel last night, even though Gabriel did get a price rise. Now, Gabriel will get a price rise tomorrow. Someone like Lewis Hall will get a price rise tonight. I think Richards is potentially prone to a price drop tomorrow. But, all that being said, still kind of unclear on what the moves are. Because I think there's a couple additional doubts in my team as well. So, for example, Keane might not play, um, and I don't really know what the situation is. I suppose probably I'll need to be considering going whole over the stream. May I can't go Gabrielle because I really want to just keep Hincapié, who I think is likely to start anyways. So yeah, that kind of leaves us with a situation where it's basically saying, do I do Richards to Hall, or do I do Semenyo to Sobo? On the assumption that, for example, like this is not a great Semenyo game anyways, and hopefully Lefay makes it towards game week 20, which means I can call upon him then. And to be fair, there's going to be a situation where, let's say, Richards is out and Keane is out, so two players there, and I go for the Sobo move. I don't think Lefay versus City is the worst fixture on the world. I mean, he still plays football, right? So that's two appearance points that I can probably bag. So lots of dilemmas, obviously, and let's just go through people's questions. But I think I'm dealing with dilemmas myself. I am literally going to be constantly looking at Twitter over the course of the stream. We can definitely answer as many questions as we possibly can, throughout the stream. Anish, thank you for your super chat. So Rose, Virgil van Dijk, Gabriel Dorgu, incredible team in terms of defense. Wilson, Foden, Saka, Cunha, Gordon, Ekitike, Haaland, Dubravka, Chalobah. I probably would play Chalobah over Wilson. I'd consider it at least. You don't have to do that move, but I just think Wilson away from home, I'd probably consider Chalobah because it's actually quite a good game for Chelsea. But otherwise, I think that's a really solid team, and best of luck to you. I also think I wouldn't play Rose personally. I think I might actually prefer Dubravka. End of the day, if you're gonna captain Haaland, yeah, I mean, I don't really see the point in playing Rose and backing that. Buying Silva feels a little bit dicey. There's going to be, yeah, I mean, it's like dicey in what sense? I guess it's like dicey in the sense that maybe I've got another Enzo Lefay in my team, right? Who's a bit more expensive. I'm not sure if he's like dicey in the sense that I would be wanting to sell him immediately, if that makes sense. I need to get people to like the live to get the algo working. Yeah, please do. Thank you guys for joining the stream, by the way. Please do like it, as the algo suggests. Sounds crazy, but you can't decide on who to bench. Ryan's question was O'Reilly, Gabriel, Tio. Tough part. I probably would bench O'Reilly, honestly. I don't know if that's the right call. Maybe Gabriel. I don't think I'd bench Tio. I think I'd 100% play him. DV8 says play Oliver O'Reilly, Hinkapie, Timber, Hall, Dorgu. Yeah, I'd play all of them. I'd play all of them over Wilson. That's a great team. You're triple captaining Dorgu. Best of luck. Minte seems risky. I think, yeah, transferring to Sobo makes sense. I don't think you'll ever feel bad about owning Sobo, now that the suspension threat's gone. Would I remove Semenyo for a Newcastle bid? Only for Gordon, really. Keen panic. The one guy did report the Grealish news, though, so that's the issue with the Keen panic, ugh. Jawongler, thank you so much for the super chat. Do you have anything specifically to ask? If you were to choose one Fran, Hall, or Tio, I would go Hall personally. Unless that 0.2 suddenly going to price you out of a really good move later down the line. Would I do Anderson to Hall to bench Semenyo? No, I'd probably just transfer Semenyo out, unless you really want to wait for Rodgers. Cunha captain's interesting. I mean, I'm on Cunha captaincy now. I don't think Rich is going to start in IR11. Thank you so much for your super chat. But Jawan, if you can just let me know what your question is. But thanks for the super chat. What's up with Keane? Apparently, he's just a doubt for this game. I don't really know, what the reason would be. per se. Um, we'll just have to find out, right? Did I lock captaincy? No. I mean, kind of like last week, and I'll probably reconsider it. I don't really like Ekitike captain because I just think Leeds are a pretty good team, honestly. Um, yeah, bit of a tricky situation, honestly. Yeah, captaincy is a pretty tough one this week for me, just because I think Cunha. So yes, of course, United are pretty terrible in terms of just like personnel. Obviously they have the fixture edge, but I guess it's kind of like, okay, is Cunha going to be on everything? Let's say Mount's out and they've got a weaker team. Doesn't that just mean Cunha's the main man for everything versus Wolves, regardless? Um, um, Chat questions are pretty interesting. Still think of Semenyo to Soba Gordon. Yep, I'm absolutely still thinking about it. Ekitike captain. I personally would just go Cunha on captaincy. I don't think Leeds is the game. I know Leeds' defense, since they've sort of moved into this back three, isn't the best. But yeah, what's the cheat sheet champion saying today? Look, I'm interested in Cunha captain. I'm interested in Cunha captain. What moves did I make? I haven't made my moves yet. Start Keno O'Reilly, definitely O'Reilly. Is VVD a risk this week? He's not a risk. I mean, I'd still play him for sure. I think Leeds are a good team. It's just that, it's not like I don't suddenly have the conviction to say Ekitike is like an amazing captaincy, right? Because always the context is Haaland is just incredible. And then Cunha has things like penalties, etc., like all these intangibles that should be quite nice, especially if Mount's gone. Like, I think he takes set pieces. Um, how many free transfers? Not the best spot. I've only got one free transfer, so I'm just waiting to make the move. Rodon is out. He's their best defender. I mean, you can say that, but like, did Sunderland even create a single chance after Rodon was out? I mean, I guess they did in terms of like in the second half. Brian Brobby had two great chances, but it's also like Rodon actually caused the goal that Sunderland scored. I don't know. Thiago might miss this midweek game. I don't really see that though. What would be the context for Thiago missing out this game though? I just can't see it. I think like it would be a bit strange that they just like didn't let him start. I mean, he has started midweek football in the past. Um, Wilson to Gordon or Sobo. I think why I like Sobo for my team probably is actually just because of the money in the bank. I think outright I would just pick Gordon every time, right? Did Hincapié to Gabriel last night. You've got Minte, Richards, Rice, and Keane. Goodness, I probably would take it -4. I mean, I'd probably consider taking Minte or Richards out because I think Rice and Keane are probably better long term. I don't really know what the issue is with Keane though. Mahmoud, thanks for the super chat. Dargu or Dalo. I think Dalo is the one because like long term he'd be a better pick anyways. Would it be worth captaining one of them? I don't think so. Sobo versus Cherokee feels tricky in the wild. I'd go Cherokee every time. Honestly, I'd go Cherokee every time. Is Timber in the squad for tonight? Apparently, it seems like it. Yeah. I think the only people who are actually missing out would be Rice and Calafiori. But we actually don't really know, right? Like honestly, I don't think we have good Arsenal sources, but none of the good ones have really given us information in terms of like, okay, the Athletic have reported Rice is out, but no one's actually reported Calafiori's out, right? My banner says Holland cap, but I cap Cunha. Yeah, I mean, I am allowed to change my captaincy, right? Bamihua, thank you. Care to take a look at my Discord message, please? Need to catch 13-point lead. Yeah, no. I do remember now that, of course, you're a Darwin. It's just I think the Discord, like sorry, the YouTube username was not one that I was used to at one point in time. Um, right. So let's just having a look at your team. But do you? I mean, you don't really need to chase those 13 points like this week, right? If that makes sense. I mean, I think that team's actually pretty incredible. The main thing is obviously you've got to think about, okay, Hinkapie needs to be a transfer out. So like, do I need money in the bank? So for example, you own Semenyo and Hinkapie, kind of like me. Do those two players need to be like future transfers out? Is kind of the point. You've got a better team than me this week, anyways, because you've got double Arsenal defense and Verbruggen and Thiel, and I've got, I don't know, 3 to 4 players who might not play. I kind of think looking at your team, given that it seems like Hinkapie will play this match, probably would just go Semenyo. Like, I mean, I up your Semenyo replacement and then just have that set, and then Hinkapie as well. Like, leave enough money in the bank so that you can get a Hinkapie replacement in, but not this week, right? Like, arguably, you could roll or just make a Semenyo transfer if the player you want to go in goes for it. Oh, leader gets. Oh my god. Okay, 500 after game week 19. Okay. Whoa. Okay. I mean, 13 points. If you're really gonna risk it, well, let's do Cunha captaincy first of all. Because 13 points is a lot in one game week. Like, you're asking for everything to basically. I would probably actually go Sobo then, maximize this game week as well. I mean, he actually has one of the best fixtures this week. Actually, I mean, to be fair, both Sobo and Gordon serve that purpose, so I think I would just go for one of the two. Double Arsenal defense works. Cunha captain probably works. Assuming that your money leader is going to Holland cap, I think that's probably the best way to differentiate yourself. Because, when I look at your team, the only spots that'll differentiate will probably be players like Teo and double Arsenal defense, and then Cunha versus Holland captain. That's not enough to make 13 points unless you do all of them. Is it -4? Okay, well then just keep Semenyo then. That's fine. I think just captain Cunha and hope for the best. Thanks for the super chat though, once again. Kashif, I think in terms of your question on the Discord, I would probably just do Rice to Sobo. Wilson and Paqueta, like in terms of just playing them this week, I think I'd go Paqueta, right? Just because it's a home game. I'd probably take my chances with him. Start Petrovic or Dubravka? I'd probably go Dubravka this week, Chelsea away is a terrible fixture, so I would just go Dubravka. By the way, please, if you guys are here, do like and subscribe. That really does help support the channel and the algorithm. UK Politics says Timber Chalaba VVD Keane drop 1 Keane because it seems like he's a doubt anyways. I actually need to think about my team as well. What a stressful stream this is. Is Timber playing? It seems like Timber is actually predicted to start. Also, if you kind of think about it, like, okay, White is back in the squad, but I don't think he starts necessarily. It seems like Timber actually has traveled with the team, so I think he's likely to start on that basis too. Yeah. I'm generally struggling. Like in terms of like, so the decision making for me is a bit tough this week, just because it's like, I think Semenyo is a transfer out regardless, but Hinkapie also kind of is. The rest of the team are fine, but then it's also how long is Richards genuinely out for? How long is Keane out for? All these kind of things. I don't really have like a settled take on it. Like maybe there's a world where Richards is actually fit, but there's no update on Richards that would kind of make me believe that that's the case. So, Yeah, I mean, if I kind of look at his Instagram as well, no posts. Yeah, I just don't really see it with Chris Richards. So I almost have to take the assumption that he's just not going to play this week. And then if Keane is out, I'm in a not so great spot, I suppose. E7, thank you so much for the just checking your Discord question. Two free transfers, 1.5 million in the bank. You're out on bench. Whose thoughts on who you should bring in for Rodon and Dewsbury? Some options below. I mean, defender wise, I don't really see why Anderson makes sense at all. I guess it's because of a budget issue. I I think as a long term midfield pick, I quite like just simply going for Stack. I know that this is Liverpool away, so not an ideal fixture whatsoever. But Stack, I think, is actually probably the best mid. That's a budget mid that kind of replaces Dewsbury Hole and allows you to bench boost properly. Um, so I would just go Stack. In terms of defense, I mean, is it possible you could go Tio? I quite like Tio and Stack as moves. The only thing I'd say is, like, Senesi in the future is probably going to be a transfer out, but then, of course, you just want to get the bench boost off. At this point, you're basically asking Senesi to, I guess, concede less than 4 goals and then get DEFCON, so 3 points, something like that. And then get, I guess, the luck of the draw with Cho at least coming in. That should be good enough value, I would say. Yeah, I'd probably just do that. That's a decent bench boost, for sure. What do you guys think I should do this week in terms of moves? I might even just pull it because I'm just actually struggling right now. Like, I'm looking at my team and I just think, what do I even do? Sobo. Okay, Semenyo for Sobo, or rather Sobo for Semenyo. I will check super chats in a moment. Apologies for the delay. Richards to Hall is definitely one move, and I guess the final move, I guess, is Sobo for Gordon, which I'm not in love with, but and I think, to be fair, the final true move is rolling. We'll do wild cards. We'll do free hits. Let me just check super chats in a moment. So I have missed a couple super chats, and I do apologize for that. Afe90, thank you so much for the super chat there. You like Semenyo, however, you currently do not have Cunha, which gives me FOMO. Only one free transfer. Would you go for Semenyo to Cunha? -4 to move away from Wilson. No, I'd 100% just go Semenyo to Cunha. If your point is to say that you can go Semenyo to Cunha for one free transfer, I would just do it. The next 3 games for United are good. The next 3 games for Semenyo are bad because he will be a City player at least at some point over the next 2 to 3 games, and I'm assuming you're triple City as well. So I would just 100% make the move, and I wouldn't do it from Wilson. Suchok HD, thank you so much for your super chat. Wilson to Sobo and Richard / Anderson / Virgil to Dorgu. Okay, yeah, I agree with Wilson to Sobo. I think that's a strong move. I think I'd probably go Richards to Dorgu because, at the end of the day, this game is about having players with availability. I'm clearly struggling with that myself. Probably shouldn't have used so many free transfers last week, and that's I can only blame myself for that. But yeah, I'd slowly take out players that you're uncertain when they're going to come back for now, and then probably just go out of Richards. The alternative, I guess, is if you think that you don't need to play Richards or Anderson for the next few game weeks, then maybe you can go Anderson out because his fixtures are kind of poor. So I do quite like Dorgu. You can only do Wilson to Sobo as well. Yeah, I think going Wilson to Sobo is great. And I'm not going to respond to the last part out loud, but thank you. Naira11, thank you for your super chat again. Is Richard starting? I don't think so. The -4. I guess my question is, do you need to take the -4? Can't you just do Richards to Dorgu and then maybe just like skip the whole move? Like, do you need to do the whole move? I'd probably just go Dorgu, save some money as well. It's not like Dorgu's like going to be unavailable for the next few game weeks, and actually Alderete is actually a really solid defender. Semenyo to Gordon, and this is AK126, so thank you for your super chat. By the way, if anyone's here, please do like the stream, do subscribe. Thank you guys so much for joining. We're approaching 1 a.m. and the super chat actually comes from Hong Kong, so I appreciate you for being up as well. Semenyo to Gordon, Sade, Sobo, or Cherokee -4. I just don't think it's worth a -4. I think Semenyo plays this week, you know. So for example, like in my case, I think the reason why I'm considering a free transfer is because worst case scenario, if Richards doesn't play for me, I think both Keane and Lefay, one of the two should play. Whereas with Semenyo, it's kind of a luxury transfer, I suppose, taking him out. Although it definitely isn't, right? Because we know Semenyo just needs to be sold next week. In your case, I think because it's a -4, I would just sell Semenyo next week. Hi, Fran from NYC. Yeah, we did look at Discord chat, so thank you, E7. Cleve Pornama 3762. So 2 free transfers, thoughts to Semenyo to Sobo and Anderson to Holm. Yeah, I would 100% do those moves with free transfers. I mean, if I had 2 free transfers right now, I think I probably would be doing something very similar. Like I think I wouldn't do Anderson out. I suppose I'd probably just go Richards out within my own team. Dan Watson, thank you so much for your super chat. Would you do -4 to bring in someone for Rice? If so, who, or just play Guehi instead? I don't think it's worth really -4. No, 100% I just play Guehi. Yeah. Guehi's great this week. I mean, I would have loved to have played Richards. So, for example, if Richards was available for me, and clearly Guehi's better than Richards, I would have played this exact lineup. To be honest, you know. So I'm more than happy to field Guehi, and that's, you know, good option to have. Joe, thank you so much for your super chat. Does Dorgu plus Cunha make Haaland seem more attractive? What do you mean? Like, do you mean you owning Dorgu plus Cunha make Haaland captain more attractive? I don't think so. I mean, if you're backing United to an extent, like, why not just continue to back that harder? From a hedging perspective, I guess it kind of makes sense. Like, if you're risk averse as a player, that makes sense to me. But, you know, I think that actually kind of says you are hoping your team benefits more from a United sort of, you know, a United haul, a United return, collective return. So yeah, I'd probably be more convinced to do a Cunha captain, just to kind of hope that if things were to go really well my way, that I would benefit even more. Black Take, thank you so much for your super chat. Semenyo and Hincapié to Cunha and Teal for a free. My question is, do you have to do Semenyo to Cunha by going Hincapié to Theo? If that's the case, then do it. I would probably just do Semenyo to Cunha this week, though. That's kind of my take on that. 911 says Hall / Teal and Dorgu / Dallo. Is that kind of just like picking Hall plus Dorgu and Teal plus Dallo? I'd probably go Teal plus Dallo long term. Jawan Glory, thank you so much for your super chat. I still can't see a chat message, but I will definitely be looking out for your messages in a moment when I'm done with all the super chats. Saleh, thank you so much for your super chat. Bench one of O'Reilly, Timber, O'Brien, Van Heck. I would bench O'Brien easily. I think O'Brien doesn't really have that much DEFCON chance. So then at that point, you're basically looking at clean sheet returns between O'Brien and Van Heck. I think Timber and O'Reilly both start and play for better teams with better fixtures. So I just think both of them start, right? So yeah, for me, I would bench O'Brien on this case. Van Heck, I think, still has a better fixture. Last time I checked the clean sheet odds, I believe Brighton were marginally ahead of Everton by around 2%. 911, thank you for your final super chat. You plan to bench boost, you remove Alderete. I just don't think, I think bench boosting Alderete is fine, you know? Like, asking for a DEFCON is fine, because I don't think necessarily the replacements are always going to get like 8 to 10 points. But if you really want to do it, I don't really mind it. Like, I think it's a good hit. But Alderete could actually be an option that a lot of managers will actually move into in a couple of weeks. Like, I'll show you guys what I kind of have planned for my team in the moment, right? Like, I'll just quickly walk you guys through my transfers. So something I'm thinking about at this moment in time is, okay, if you kind of look at my team, what's the issue here? Clearly, I've got just players who aren't playing football. The midfield actually looks pretty good, but of course, Semenyo needs to be gone, right? So let's say if I do a sub move this game week, I think what that means is I've got 2.8 million in the bank, which obviously is you know, cash cow money. Hincapié to Gabriel is probably not going to be something that leaves me with this much money in the bank. I imagine I could continue to lose 0.2 million on this, because I think I'm going to go Gabriel a little bit later than most. But if I do this move, then I guess in a way I don't have Cunha to Palmer level money. So if I just restore Cunha for a moment, the only way that I can really get to Palmer in game week 22, which I really do want to do, is probably by moving Keane or Richards out at that moment in time into someone like an Alderete, right? So I've got 0.2 million in the bank now in terms of luxury, kind of funds, but things will have to go my way. I suppose Cunha getting another rise will help with this process. But Alderete, I believe, is going to rise tonight, which is not ideal for this plan. Everything else is tricky because I think the timing of Hincapié to Gabriel, this specific move, is kind of tough to get right because if let's say Calafiori's out again, I don't see why I would really just move Hincapié to Gabriel, especially when there's a decent chance that Gabriel could get rested for Bournemouth away. If that actually happens, that means Hincapié starts for Bournemouth away, right? So I don't really want to make that move for the sake of price. But yeah, that's kind of the predicament that I'm in. I guess if I look at Cunha, in fairness, I did buy him at 7.9. So him rising to 8.2, and probably he will rise again to 8.3. That could give me enough of the buffer, but things kind of have to go my way. The worst case scenario, I suppose, is that there is still like Reynoldo, right, who can come back from AFCON and maybe play in a few weeks' time, and maybe I could actually like enjoy buying him. Goodmanson's also a pick. Honestly, Leeds are just really, really good as a team. The only thing that he, unfortunately just doesn't really do is he doesn't really do DEFCON at all. Okay, he's got DEFCON versus Chelsea, but that's a game you explicitly don't play Goodmanson for, and otherwise he's kind of just pure open play value, or clean sheets. So not having a DEFCON there is a bit painful, especially when the Sunderland defenders are so good for that. So that's kind of the tricky thing that I'm dealing with in terms of like just setting my plans up for the future. But let's go back to chat for a moment, and then I'll go back to my team planning. Amaraldo, thank you so much for your super chat. 2 free transfers, 1.3 in the bank. Hincapié 2. I would keep Hincapié this week. I would sell Semenyo. I kind of like Semenyo to Gordon or Sobo. I think both are fine. I would roll the Hincapié transfer, though, just because it seems like he's going to start. I just don't really see why you'd want to make a move this week for Hincapié if it's very likely that he starts. In terms of the poll, it seems like the poll's super even, right? Roll's actually a decent idea. I do agree with that, just because it will give me flexibility. Sobo for Semenyo is a pretty popular line. That's kind of what I'm angling for, just because Semenyo, if Semenyo doesn't play, yeah, I'm in trouble, right? So I almost need to go for a move. I do like Richards to Hull, Sobo for Semenyo, just so that I can actually secure myself a starting 11 no matter what. I think Richards is out personally. I'm going to end the poll as well. Thanks for your feedback, guys. In terms of super chats, Deepak, thank you so much for your super chat. Hi, Fran, you're on bench boost. Did early transfers and you bought in Verbruggen for sells. Turkey worth taking another hit for Rice. Timber's flag too. Hey, so I think Timber's actually quite likely to start this game, so I think I would just keep Timber. I don't think he's worth a transfer. I do think Rice to Turkey is worth a transfer because it seems like the Athletic has actually reported that Rice is going to be out for this game. And actually, this match for Turkey and generally this fixture run ahead, I think is really good for Turkey. I would love to have Turkey in my team. I think I've wasted too many free transfers to actually be able to kind of benefit from that. But yeah, definitely keep Timber and make the move for Turkey is what I would do. As far as Anish, thoughts on Stack? I think he's incredible. I kind of regret actually going Lafay last week and not going for Stack instead, is how I feel about it. I think I'm still just going to go Semenyo to Szoboszlai this week. Can I see myself taking a hit? Not really, to be honest. Umar Chima, thank you so much for your super chat. Could you have a look at my team on Discord when free? Yeah, absolutely. We can have a look at that. Um, I've typed Haaland captain. Yeah, but I'm probably gonna change back into Haaland captain. Just being completely honest. I haven't decided on captaincy yet. To me, it's a 50-50 call this week, and that is literally another call. You know what? Let's just pull that as well. Game week 19 captaincy. Um, I think it's very much Hart versus, like, first of all, I think Sunderland were awful last week. Just watching them versus Leeds, so tough decision. But actually, let me just have a look at Umar's team, based on the super chat as well. Oh, I just read the news about Igor Thiago. Wow. Okay, I've actually made a mistake there. I'm sorry for. I didn't know that was kind of uncertain. That's kind of surprising. Um, Umar, if you can just like drop me a DM, please. Is your team in rate my team? Um, oh, I can see your team now, Umar. Two free transfers. You've got Vandenberg, Timber. Well, obviously Keith Andrews gave no update. You literally don't. Well, okay, you'll definitely play Virgil. You definitely play Anderson. You definitely play Timber. So that's three defenders I think they'll definitely play. Rice is out, so you can't really play Rice. So you're basically playing 3-4-3. I don't think Calvert-Lewin's the worst thing in the world, but obviously it's a hedge against Virgil, which is not ideal. I think Rodon you keep because there's no one that you can really get to. Um, I guess it could be Rice out though, right? Maybe you go Rice out to Sobo. Ooh, but you still have Semenyo actually. It's kind of a tricky situation. I guess the way that I see it is I think Timber is most likely fine going forwards. Vandenberg hopefully is fine going forwards. I would play your defense in the order of like Timber, then Virgil, then Vandenberg, then Anderson. Anderson being someone that you have on the bench. You're playing 3-4-3 this week, which I think is fine. I kind of like Semenyo to Sabo because I don't think Rice is going to be out that long. It doesn't seem like it seems like Rice is already with the squad. It seems like he's actually out of the squad for a precautionary measure. So I almost think that you can have Rice on the bench this week, place like do the Sobo move for Semenyo. That gives you some money back into the team. And then you can kind of reconsider, what your other moves would be going forwards. And Calvert-Lewin's actually a really nice own from you. So I think that's the only move that I would really make this week. Maybe Semenyo out. Just because Semenyo out, I think gives you some additional sort of expected points gain. So you get Sobo for a decent fixture at home. And yeah, I think your defense is actually perfectly fine. Because, the worst case, I think, is you have three defenders. The best case is you've actually got four defenders because we know Rodon's out, right? I think you're good to go. Thiago, yeah, not being fit is not ideal though. I mean, what do you guys think about Thiago right now? Thank you, Joan Glory, for joining. Welcome to Captain. I'm actually going to quickly specifically look for chat messages that you might have posted. Okay, I can see your team now, Joan. So you've got Raya, Hincapié, Virgil van Dijk, Nunez, Anderson. Okay, that's wonderful. Cunha, Foden, Rice, Ekitike, Thiago Holland. So you got Rice as an issue, right? You got one free transfer and 1.3 million in the bank. You got Richards, Tavernier, KDH benched. Thoughts? 300k ranked. Had a bad game week 18. Okay, well, I mean, Richards is not going to play. Tavernier has a poorish game, but he's not worth a free transfer. Rice is not available, so you're not going to call upon him. And KDH is out as well. I mean, I don't think KDH is back so soon. So I think my kind of thoughts are your defense is actually good. So just keep it as it is, right? You've got four defenders who play this week. And And then Tavernier, I think, like Tavernier's the type of player that I think I would hold through the Arsenal game, and he actually becomes really good, especially as Semenyo is going to leave the club. Tavernier is going to get increased penalty share and probably better minutes going forwards. So, I feel like it is a bit of a crazy move, but let me see. So you've only got two. Maybe you could just go Rice out this week to Sobo. Only reason being because, okay, you've got Thiago as well, though. So that's kind of tricky. I don't really know if Thiago is 100% out. God, this game week's actually so chaotic. Let me just read a quick summary on Thiago. Okay, he's got a bit of an issue, but nothing to do with his injury last season at all. He's just basically suggesting it could be a knock. We will see how everybody is tomorrow before we make decisions. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's not ideal, is it? Okay. Well, it doesn't seem like Thiago has like some sort of long-term injury, but he could also miss the game. So then it's a question of actually, do you want to keep Rice or Thiago long-term? It's tricky. I almost think maybe you could do a passive move. You could do Richards to Hull, right, Juan? So it's like if you played Hincapié, Virgil van Dijk, Nunez, Anderson, and Hull, you have 5 defenders there. You then play Cunha, Foden, Ekitike, Thiago, Haaland. And I think you just have Tavernier auto sub, but then like hope for the best with Thiago. Does that make sense? This way you keep Rice because I don't think Rice is gone for long term. I think Rice is fine. Same with Thiago. I think like worst case scenario, I think for Rice and Thiago is that they both miss the midweek match here and suddenly they just play on the weekend. So I feel like maybe just going Richards to Hull is actually your best case scenario. And the worst like the thing is you still have Tavernier if Rice and Thiago are both out the squad. And I don't really want to take a hit here because I don't think anything is particularly worth taking a hit for this week. Hincapié Rogers to start. Hincapié for me. But you're basically making a bet on Arsenal or not, right? VDB plus Thiago seem to be out from Brentford's Twitter post. Is that 100% certain? I'm going to go jump back into Super Chats in a moment. It's very chaotic here. Apologies, guys, but I will try my best. Let's see what's going on with Brentford. What a nightmare. I mean, he provided an Igor Thiago update, but I read the update, and I don't think that actually suggested that Thiago's out, though. We're still a couple days out. Yeah. I mean, look, I think he's most likely fine, but it's very hard to make that call. Saleh, thank you so much for your super chat. Ekitike captain again. Ooh, okay. I like that. Yeah, I like the lineup. I like backing the Fulham piece there because it's not like you have a Crystal Palace defense anyways. Best of luck, my friend. Unfortunate with the Rice piece, I guess that probably would have changed your lineup too. But you know, I like it as it is. Good luck this game week. Deepak says, sorry for confusion. Cherky already in, need Rice replacement. Oh, I'd probably go Sobo then in that case. Yeah. Rice to Sobo for a hitter, place in Essie. I think if you're like bench boosting, I would do the hit. If you are not bench boosting, I would just place in Essie personally. El Chivers, thank you so much for the super chat. 3 transfers, poor bench. Rice to Shadi to keep funds for Dallo to Gabriel later. Gordon and Wirtz too much. Or Rice to Cherky and O'Reilly to Gabriel now. I probably would do Rice to Cherky, O'Reilly to Gabriel. I just think Shadi and Dallo are unlikely to be players that you actually want to keep long term. And it's very likely that Gabriel is. And with Cherky, I think there's short term, at least I think there's medium term upside. Just because he's actually such a good player. Now, obviously, the concern with Turkey is like, it could be very short term. Like, if you actually think, okay, let's say Doku comes back into the team, Semenyo joins Man City, is it actually possible that Turkey's going to have perfect minutes? Probably not. So maybe it is enjoy Turkey for the short term, but understand that there needs to be an additional free transfer used for Turkey, let's say, when players come back into this team or when Semenyo gets acclimated to the squad, right? Because I also don't think like Pep's going to suddenly throw Semenyo in the deep end either. Also, Florian, please don't spam in chat. Make free hit team, please. Yeah, let's have a look at free hit and wild card. But I'm seriously gonna have to look at managing my own team. Yeah, everyone should be aware that Turkey's minutes won't be perfect in a few weeks, and I think that's justified. Let's just do a wild card draft first, all right? I'm going to assume that we can't afford Raya, right? So let's just take him off the table. I think John is worth punting on the wild card. Do I go John Dubravka? Probably not. I'd probably go Kelleher John, or Verbruggen John. I think works really well too. Is a nice pairing that I've seen myself. It's also the cheapest pairing that isn't an 8.0 pairing. Keane, with him being out, probably take him out. O'Reilly, not sure. Hincapié, let's take him out. Let's go Gabriel. Let's go Hall. I think these are the picks that I want to have in the short term. Anderson, I'm just keeping because price point's great. Foden, probably keep. Cunha, keep. Lefebvre can go. Semenyo can go. Maybe Vigo Sobo. Just placehold him there. Potentially Ekitike we keep. I think obviously you'd probably just go OB as well. Just a cheap player here. Do you consider going Dorgu? I think that's a possibility. Or it could be Dallo. But just to round out the midfield, I mean, what would I do within my own team? I mean, I don't think it's obscene to suddenly just have Timber and double defense, but then O'Reilly does exist. I probably would just go O'Reilly, honestly. Because, yeah, Cherky's not really that long-term of a pick. Got so much money, though. I guess my consideration here is, do I go Gordon? I think I would. I think I would just kind of punt Gordon. Something like this is probably the core of the team that I'd make. And there's a lot of downgrades that you can go for, right? So, for example, and I think like in a week like this, you play 3-5-2 still. So you would play... Goodness, I mean, I guess you don't really need Dorgu in this case because he's a bit of a flimsy pick. Maybe you just go Alderete. Like, Dorgu's so fun to punt, though. Does that mean we just drop Hall suddenly? Because I feel like Gabriel and O'Reilly, between the two of them, except for that match versus Liverpool, and maybe you would still even play Gabriel versus Liverpool, but I guess the tricky thing with Dorgu is, like, if you have Hall and you've got O'Reilly and Gabriel, there's not really a single week where you actually, like, willingly would play Dorgu. It would only really serve you, I guess, in the situation when Szoboszlai has Arsenal and GW21, where Dorgu still has a good game, you can play 4-4-2 that week, right? That would be the benefit of Dorgu. But then you'd have lots of dilemmas every week in terms of benching people, which I don't think is the worst thing in the world, but I guess, I'll leave you with that flexibility, right? Like, the spot is just whatever. Hall can be Cho if you want to save money. You can't really downgrade Saka to Rice, so I don't think it's worthwhile. With Ekitike, with Thiago being a doubt, I mean, I think, like, draft-wise, this can always be Calvert-Lewin. Like, we probably also need to consider Palmer. Palmer has not been in this draft, but I just think also Palmer... I'm not sure how good the minutes can possibly be, but maybe if you want to bet ahead of the curve, I mean, do you suddenly just go into a Palmer draft, which means, like, not having Gordon? Maybe you keep Saka in. I mean, it's just not even affordable, is it? Yeah, I kind of think Palmer just has to wait. Like, I think I have more faith in Saka in the short term. But I guess if you don't have faith in Saka, then you could just go Palmer too. Like, I don't think that's obscene as an idea. It's kind of hard to go double Arsenal defense here, though. I mean, one Arsenal defender, I don't even know if it's worth owning one Arsenal defender at that point. But I guess this is the core of a draft that I would probably go with at this moment in time. Like, these are almost the biggest hitters across the board with good fixtures in the short term. God, I'm gonna miss Semenyo when he goes. What an amazing run we've had with him. But yeah, that's kind of how I would do it. In terms of free hit, we can probably just refresh the page and just do a free hit, and I'll look at super chats like immediately. I know I've probably been waffling on a bit, but that's kind of the point of a wild card, right? Yeah, so if you enjoyed the content, please do like, please do subscribe. Really does help support the channel. In terms of free hit, let me just refresh my fixtures. I mean, I think you just kind of have to go Dorgu. I think you have to go Dorgu. You have to go Cunha. I mean, I think I'd actually go Dallo as well. Defense wise, I think I'd probably go. I think I'd go Ramsdale. I don't know if like this is best practice. Cunha, yes, no to this guy, no to this guy, yes to Saka. Maybe Palmer's on the free hit. I'd probably drop Ekitike on the free hit. It is Leeds at home though. Oh, that's painful. Let's just go Obi again. And then we can just build off. Too many players selected from United. Great. Let's just go Q. So if we go Ramsdale, probably drop O'Reilly here. Just about drop him. I don't love it, but I mean, to United, like, can you? I mean, it is Wolves at home. I'd take my chances with Wolves and Burnley like every time. Yeah. All right, let's just fill out this this little team selection. I mean, these are the cheapest players. I don't think this necessarily makes sense, but like, okay, the core of this is what we're trying to get towards the 3-5-2. Does anyone make sense for this week? Probably just Gordon, right? So I think this is kind of the pre-hit that I would build. Once again, you can always downgrade. Let's say Hall to Tio. You might not need like I think Palmer's a bit of a luxury, to be honest. I think this is pretty much how I would free hit, though. Because you got triple United, which is great, triple Newcastle, which is great, Palmer, which is great, Foden's great, Holland's great, Saka's great. Can't really complain. I think I wouldn't play double Arsenal defense over any of the double defenses that I have here, and I still like the attackers that I've chosen. So this is probably the free hit draft that I would personally go with. All right, back to making decisions for my own team, though. I'm probably going to make transfers for my team now and just go for Sobo and call it a day. I mean, he's on pens. What's the worst thing that can happen? I'm just going to have a quick read, though, in terms of like timeline, news, all that stuff, and then we'll go into super chats. It's just a chaotic week, and we'll settle on captaincy as well. I've literally just realized I haven't even looked at captaincy. Okay, someone apparently has. Yeah, people are saying that the keen doubts are quite serious. Okay. Yeah, that's just not ideal, is it? Apparently, Antoine Semenyo is in the squad for their trip to Chelsea. So that's not the worst thing in the world, to be fair. I mean, could I roll? Is a good question to ask. I mean, I could, but it's just like I'm just gonna have to hope for a penalty versus Leeds. All right, we're gonna make that move. Yep. Okay, then I have to figure out captaincy as well, which is not ideal, but we will figure that out. I mean, with a keen doubt, I just don't want him like auto subbing. I don't know, like. I'll just have Lefay first. Yeah, okay, we'll just set the team up like this. I think it makes sense. I mean, does it? I mean, surely Keane just like plays or doesn't play. I don't know. I'll just go Lefay. Can I trust the Keane doubts though? All right, we'll just have Keane bench order wise. That's rough. Okay, that's my team done in terms of everything except for captaincy. So we can go back to super chats. All right, no super chats. Perfect. So let's go back into chat. Rice is sell probably this week if you don't have a good enough bench. FPL Olympian captain Cunha. Well, you captained Ekitike last week like I did, and we did pretty well. Um, I mean, I'm not gonna let FPL Olympian change my decisions, but yeah. Would you do Virgil to hold for a free? No, I definitely would not do that. Next week is Hincapié Gabriel, most likely. Yeah, best mid 6 mil. 6 mil mid. Probably Anton Stack. Would you do a -4 to sell Richards, a bench covers Krupi Jr., Goodmanson, and Potts? Yeah, I probably would, honestly. Um, start two of Richards, Anderson slash Anderson. I think I would just do Richards because I think he's the best fixture anyways, and then I would just do the Forrest Anderson, then the Fulham Anderson. Why sub over Gordon? It saves me money. It saves me money, and crucially, I think it actually helps really well. So I think, as I was kind of explaining in terms of my plans, right, by going for Sobo, I think the beauty of the move that I can make next is that I can just go Hincapié to Gabriel, right? And it doesn't necessarily give me Palmer, but I can still make a move with two free transfers by rolling on 21 to do something like Keen out here and then go for like Alderete. See what I mean? So by making a move like this in the future, I can actually afford this team structure where I still keep Saka, I still keep Palmer. I have a midfield four that I like, and then obviously Lafay. And I think a pretty good team, in this context. And I still keep Ekitike for Burnley at home. Because obviously, I think kind of the point of keeping Ekitike all that time is, first of all, Bournemouth aren't even that bad. So Liverpool don't really have a bad fixture run until I would say 20. I do think Newcastle home's actually a decent game. So I mean, it really depends on like I don't know what my forward situation is, but I don't think Ekitike necessarily needs to be a transfer out until a little bit later down the line. So if I can afford this team structure, I think I'm very happy with my FPL squad. Now, obviously, Bruno will come back, but Bruno will come back probably around game week 24. So I think Ekitike being a cash cow. So for example, like I think I can what I can see with my squad in the future is like, let's say I keep Saka anyways, I keep Foden. Probably Ekitike actually just becomes Bruno. And maybe I just move my team into some sort of 4-5-1 structure. It's possible that I could do that. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking about. But all of this is kind of enabled by going for Sobo over Gordon. Like if I go for Gordon, I just can't even afford any of these lines. I mean, I could obviously like I think like let's say I go Gordon, or let's say I did go for Gordon. I could have maybe like not gone for Gabriel. Like I can go for Calafiori, I suppose in this case. But it's all very tight, and then also like I don't even know what's going on with Calafiori. Plus, when I just think about like medium to long term, like Calafiori is someone who just generally struggles like playing multiple fixtures in a week. I probably would feel more comfortable with Gabriel building fitness that he'd be fine long term. Whereas with Calafiori, I feel like that problem is always going to be persistent. Although his minutes, obviously, as we've noted, this season have been fantastic, and I'm maybe downplaying him a little bit. Um, yeah. Excuse me. Maybe I'll still have Keane over Anderson. Goodness, this is so messy. But let's just do that. Alrighty. Deepak says 3 captain Cunha, triple captain if he holds. Wish you to. Yeah, I probably want to do cap. Like, okay, am I Cunha capping? We need to decide that. Over the next, we got 35 minutes left. I think we're good to play that decision. All right, I think that's it for my team. No, I just need to decide captaincy, but we can do that whilst just answering chat messages. Start Klein or O'Reilly? Definitely O'Reilly. I don't think that's even close. Keane is out of the squad. Is that confirmed now? This is painful. Is anyone saying anything about Michael Keane beyond? Where are you getting the Michael Keane news from? Michael Keane is a doubt for GW19. And what's the only official ITK account for Everton? It's the bubble, right? Don't really see anything on them. But to be fair, the account that I guess I retweeted myself, as I said, got news right last week. So yeah, God, Andy Martin still has Bruno G. That's pretty horrendous. Rest of his team's pretty good though, I will say. Um, I think my defense is where like I've got a really terrible team this week compared to the rest of the field. However, I think the pro is that like coming out of this week, it's like, do I worry about Dorgu? No. Do I worry about Virgil? Certainly not. Do I worry about any of the kind of like Newcastle defenders? Probably not. And Gabriel's like the one pick that I'm scared about, but I also think that his minutes could be managed over this run. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about how bad my team looks, I suppose. And anyways, we kind of have planned for all of this by having a deep bench. It's just that it seems like we've been hit by too many injuries recently, or just like random people like dropping out. So Keane, etc. But yeah, just gotta have to hope for the best, I suppose. And like a miracle Richard start would be ideal. Not sure whether to take out Vandenberg for Dorgu. I probably would. What's wrong with Bruno G? I just don't really think he has that many routes towards points. Why am I starting Richards? Because I think he either plays and starts or he doesn't play at all. I can't really see why Richards would come off the bench if that makes sense. What do you think of Heaven just this week? I think he played really well, right? But are you talking about a transfer? I probably wouldn't see him as a transfer. Scoring from corners every week. Every week being what, the 1 week? Who would you? Please don't use caps lock in chat. I literally will not respond. It's just easier if I can see other people's messages. 435 of you guys in chat. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please do like, please do subscribe. It really does help support the channel. Hi, Fran. Which defenders to buy this week? But bro, I think I would say Hall is the best sort of medium term pick that's cheaper than like Gabrielle. I think Gabrielle, if you're worried about structurally how you would get to Gabrielle, so let's say Gabrielle is like someone that you're about to get priced out of. I do think that structurally speaking, if you just go for Gabrielle now, you will be fine. If you don't want to go for Gabrielle, as I said, and you have flexibility to kind of revisit Gabrielle later down the line, I do think Hall's like just the standout best defender. Now, if you actually don't care about all of this and you just want someone who's actually good for the next 3 weeks and you kind of want a punt because you're well set up, then obviously Dorgu is actually even better, right? Technically, I think like he's got the highest ceiling of any defender this week. Oh, hey Kieran, nice to see you, my friend. Thanks for the chats as well. Best of luck this week. Trini, you're doing admin work. I do need some moderators here, so yeah, do step up if especially if you're a member of the channel as well and you want to do some moderation. Please feel free to step forward. We do have a couple of moderators already, but we could always use more. Simon Sandberg, thank you so much for your super chat. Sell rice for words or turkey. I think it's kind of. Do you have an auto sub first of all? Like I guess if you're forced to bench boost, then I kind of understand like why you'd want to do it, but I think otherwise no. I would go for Cherky because with Wirtz, I just think saving money is helpful. I think Cherky's actually still incredible. I still think Cherky's minutes are going to be good. But obviously it's conditional on first of all Doku, and then second of all Semenyo now because I don't think Savinho is a serious threat to anything. You need to know if to take the Gordon pun. I probably would if you already have Sub on the team. I mean, the thing with Gordon that I struggle with is like it's still the minutes at the end of the day. Like there have been periods where they're chasing a game and Gordon still comes off the pitch. Sure, he was kind of chasing the game versus United and played 90 minutes, but like using that as context for I'll make you a moderator, Dream Brother. Um, appreciate that. But I think using that as context, for example, to suddenly say that his minutes are a lot better doesn't really make any sense. Minte over Sobo, Darren, I'm not sure if I can really vouch for that because I think Fabian's been pretty negative about Minte recently. You could see the minutes have sort of taken a bit of a hit as well. So yeah, I would actually be a little bit more confident about Jorginho right now over Minte, just because it seems like Minte's kind of in a fragile state. I don't think Minte's like quality wise like worse than Jorginho as a pick at all. I think he's much better, but that's kind of the concern. TBG here, nice to see you around, my friend. Do you think Dallo plays 90? Yeah, I can't see why he wouldn't. Do you mean like 90 minutes going forwards? I think there's always going to be the threat, I suppose, of of Dorgu playing some minutes over him. But I think he's going to start most of the games from here on out, even including when AFCON comes, or the AFCON going players will come back, right? Obviously, Amad Diallo, I think, is doing quite well with the Ivory Coast, but it's very likely that when he comes back, that I think Dorgu is the one who's going to lose minutes, so Dallo should be fine, because he himself has been playing well. And admittedly, I think Dorgu just struggles in the back three. Cunha, Holland captain. Okay, I've literally forgotten that I've actually forgotten to even do the captaincy. Would I start Chalobah or Wilson? I would do Chalobah personally because I kind of just like getting a DEFCON plus clean sheet percentage. But I think it comes down to like whether you think like Crystal Palace is struggling. Market odds seem to have Haaland quite far ahead. Like, what are you using, I guess, as a reference for market odds? Is probably a good question to ask here. Because I'm pretty sure, like, market odds don't have Haaland far ahead. Like, at best, I think, excuse me, it's like a 50-50 type decision where it's like slivers of expected points. Not to mention, I guess, that Haaland could get an early sub. I don't really see that being likely, though. Apparently, Michael Keane and Carlos Arcos are not in the Everton squad tonight. All right, that's really not ideal for me. But can I survive this? I think I can, right? Like I think at the end of the day, I'm just asking for. Well, I'm just gonna go Lefay deep, right? Is that what's gonna happen? I'm gonna go Anderson. He's gonna auto sub, and I'm gonna go Lefay. I think I'll be fine. Yeah. All right, that's fun. Hey Fran, happy New Year. Lots of flags going on for this week, but you have an odd one. Start Klein or Tavernier. I'd probably go Klein, to be honest. All right, let's start spamming in chat. Need the moderators to moderate, if possible. Could Semenyo be benched? I can't see that happening. I think honestly, like just getting points on the board, getting like your best foot forward in the Premier League is too important. And this could be the last game of Semenyo. Like I don't think like Bournemouth are really good at bubble wrap Semenyo. Every game is important to them. So is Cunha a bit overrated by models? I think it's close. I don't think market odds seem to have Haaland quite far ahead. You have to kind of once you actually factor in things like, midfielder points, clean sheet points, etc. like that. Like I think it's actually very close. It's close to 50-50 anyways. Apparently there's a rumor that Gordon can be benched. Wait, Saka's dropping tonight? I'm so out of the loop here. What? No, Saka's not dropping tonight. That's not happening, surely. Wait, he is dropping tonight. But why? That doesn't even make sense to me. What? Okay, fine. I mean, he can drop, but it's like, I don't even get it. Um, Very interesting though. Raul's dropping, God knows why. Why is Saka dropping? I mean, he's gonna play football. I don't know. I feel like that's one of those like weird cases where the drop only happens because what people are trying to get to Cunha. Is that what it is? I'm just trying to think about it. Saliba's close to a rise. That's interesting. Gabriel might rise tomorrow. Um, I might go early on Gabriel, but let's see. We'll just have to kind of reevaluate the situation as it stands. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna go Holland captain. It's a bit boring, but yeah, I don't know. As the stream promises, right? I'm gonna Holland captain. Happy to be wrong. Um, I'm trying to see like okay. I'm trying to think at least like okay, what are the team lineups we're going to get in a couple of minutes that would really give me a panic attack. All right, so I mean, I'm not really invested into Newcastle, so I'm actually gonna be a Burnley fan in a moment. Chelsea versus Bournemouth. I guess I want Bournemouth to do well, but that's just because threats are sitting in the Chelsea team. The Everton team I no longer care about because Keane's out of the squad. West Ham versus Brighton also don't really care about. So great, lots of games where I don't really care about the outcomes of that, and then suddenly it's of course like I guess Cunha plays first as a captain, and then it's like, yeah, I mean, obviously the Arsenal and Villa games are the ones that I care about them. Like that game I care about the most because I'm so invested into Arsenal at this moment in time. Um, and tomorrow will be quite good fun for me because I guess, regardless, I suppose I will be cheering for someone within the Crystal Palace vs Fulham game, potentially two players. So hoping for that 5% chance of a 0-0, which was achieved last week by Burnley and Everton, I believe. Liverton versus Leeds. Sorry, Liverton. Goodness, Liverpool. I'm too tired. It's like 1:40 a.m. here. I'm actually super invested into Liverpool now. Okay, so I'm back to being a stack hater, which is nice, and then Howland captain to kind of close out the game week. All right, mentally, I think that's pretty fun. I suppose. I guess it's like I want Cunha to do well, but then I want Holland to do better, but then I'll have to wait a bit. Okay, fine. Uh, this is painful. All right, back to chat questions. So let's see. Oh, thank you, Mo, once again for joining as a member of the channel. Welcome to present, my friend. Supreme Moore, thank you so much for your super chat. Selson, Essien, Semenya, Fedorgu, and Cunha for a -4. Yeah, I'm down for that. I mean, I think backing United this week is very, very sensible. Wolves at home is always a game that we should be targeting as much as possible. Timber, Richards, Roden -4 to confirm 3 playing defenders. Yeah, I think you kind of have to do a -4. I agree with that. Timber is playing though. So do you have to move Timber out is probably my question. Because I feel like Timber, are you saying that basically you only have Timber? Is that what you're, I'm kind of confused there. I do think you want to keep Timber to avoid a -4 if possible, if I'm reading that correctly. Gab price rise confirmed for today. Surely it's tomorrow. Would you do Rice to Subway? I probably would consider it, yeah. Am I going to do a review stream? What kind of review stream? Like in terms of like reviewing the game week again? I think I could do that, yeah, to be honest. Help me. Should I take a hit for Dorgu in for good Munson? Yeah, I probably would actually do that. Do you think Man United keeps a clean sheet this week? I think there's a pretty high chance that they can. Start Thiago Lefay. Definitely Thiago. I mean, Thiago for me is in most cases someone that I think I would start anyways. Graham, thank you. Hope you're well, King. Final Hail Mary attempt to get a response. We definitely will give you a response now. Need to start 3 from Timber, Hinkapie, Tio, Keane, and Mukiele. Would you roll or transfer out Hinkapie to Dorgu? No, I wouldn't transfer out Hinkapie or Timber because it seems like both of them start, right? So I'd just play Tio, Timber, Hinkapie as super simple and keep it like that. I can't see why you'd need to even make a free transfer right now. What do you think of Gravenberg? I'm not in love with him personally, so yeah. I think he scored a lot of goals this season. To be honest, like a disproportionate amount of goals. I don't think he's too different to, for example, the start of the season Caicedo, where I think he's like a touch overrated in terms of like the attacking returns are not that sustainable. Victor, thank you for your super chat. Rice is out. VDB Alderete, you in the bench. Do I transfer? Uh, well, I mean, if just VDB Alderete and you are on the bench, I don't think so. I think Alderete as an order sub is not the worst thing in the world, and maybe there's a slim chance VDB's fine. So I wouldn't -4. I mean, if you can do a free transfer for Rice out, that's fine. I wouldn't -4 out of Rice though. Timber, I believe, is actually with the squad. I saw a photo of Timber with the squad today. The reporting on Timber and Rice has been pretty consistent, right? I think people are saying that Timber starts and people are saying that Rice is out of the squad for precautionary reasons. Lofgren, Gabriel, O'Reilly, Hall, Dorgu, Rodon, Foden, Rice, Saka, Cunha, Wilson. Is Rice the sub needed here for -4? Okay, so let me just think about your auto sub, right? So you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4 defenders, which are great. Rodon doesn't play, so that's fine. 5 with Foden, 6 with Saka, 7 with Cunha, 8 with Wilson, 9, 10. So you're actually, yeah, I probably would -4. I would -4 because you literally don't have a bench. Start Keen or Dorgu? Definitely Dorgu. It's not even close. Who are you planning on planning? Probably Hinkapie to Gabriel after this week. I do think Hinkapie starts. Double Arsenal defense, is it risky? What if they lose? I mean, of course it's risky, but it's not risky in the sense that like I'm backing a good Arsenal defense at home, right? Any team leaks? Keane is out of the squad. I don't think there's any other genuine leaks though. Like I don't think I've seen anything serious. Yeah. I'm just gonna quickly check. Or actually, we're gonna do something to interact with here. We're gonna gift 5 memberships out for free. So thank you guys so much for being on the stream. Around 500 of you guys here. Please do like, please do subscribe. Really does help support the channel. Happy New Year as well in advance. So just quickly send out 5 memberships. Really appreciate you guys, taking the time to be here on the stream, and I really do appreciate you guys being around. So Jay Marais, Mr. Eternal, Mac B, Taylor 4848, Mr. L Channel, welcome all to getting the gift membership, and thank you guys for being around. To Hall or Dallo, I would personally use my free transfer on Hall, because I just think that Newcastle are a much better defense than Dallo. So whilst Dallo might be better for like 3-game week span, I think Hall, could potentially be someone that you keep, up to 8 game weeks at a time. So yeah, I kind of prefer that. Would I go Sobo or Bruno G in a vacuum for a -4? I think I would go. I think I would go Sobo. I think Bruno G is like someone who is a bit overrated in terms of like routes towards returns. I think Rice is like what you think Bruno G is, but like very, very different in the sense that Bruno G doesn't take nearly as many set pieces, doesn't have the same quality, doesn't have the same DEFCON rate as Rice. So I think Sobo is better for that, especially since you've got penalty share and some really, really, really good home games, where I would still think that no one is going to take penalties over Sobo, especially if Egypt are going to continue with their run in AFCON. Newcastle last 5 weeks have played some terrible attacks, might be slightly. The reality of those, I don't think that anything's skewed though. I think actually when you look at the Newcastle numbers, I think what concerns me about them as a team is actually their attack doesn't look impressive, because I think they're prioritizing a little bit more possession-based kind of control football. Their defense looks fine, but actually they're kind of losing the attacking quality that I think makes them interesting as a team. Is almost my take on that, actually. Just looking at the underlying stats and kind of where they've moved as a team. Like I would kind of struggle to say they're not like a good defense. I do think that there's not a huge separation between, let's say, a Newcastle and a City and Chelsea, for example, like if you want to put these teams up there as people were invested into. No Keane. Yeah, I probably need to change my team around, right? Because I think if there's no Keane, I mean, well, we'll just get auto subs, right? Like, who cares? Yeah, I mean, like, all right. I'm not gonna mess around with my team too much. Um, I'm probably gonna Haaland captain. I don't know why, but I just kind of feel like Haaland captain's the one for this game week, and I'm happy to be wrong. Basically, that's basically where I stand on that. It is Cunha versus Wolves though, and I know obviously United looked so exceptional versus Wolves last time around, but it really was also still like Mbumo and Bruno were also running that game as well. Um, like everything will get funneled into Cunha, but it's also like okay, and then what? I think it's close. So I don't know why, but I'm just mostly kind of invested into a bit of a Holland cap situation here and hoping for the best. I guess it could also depend on little things like whether you think Doku will do well and yeah. I mean, there's two sort of Everton in the no accounts apparently who just think that Keane won't play, so not ideal. Apparently Fabrizio Romano's got in a here we go soon. Um, for Semenyo to Man City. Praz has done Semenyo to Sobo. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of feel like I have to just give Hincapie this game and then just make moves after this week if I'm gonna do that. I might flip flop to the Cunha captaincy. Salem, thank you so much for your super chat. Would you play Wilson or O'Brien after Keane news? I would play Wilson. I think the main problem that I have with O'Brien, generally speaking, is just unfortunately he's not amazing at DefCon, right? So for example, like in most cases where you let's say have a really good DefCon defender, I think you can justify playing him over Wilson in most cases. Um, Sorry, Deepak, I actually missed your question in terms of super chat, and thank you so much for it. Bench one over Dorgu, Guehi, O'Reilly, Van Heck. Van Heck for sure. I think should be benched there because I feel like Guehi has a home game actually slightly better clean sheet odds if I remember correctly compared to Van Heck. So I think that's a simple choice there. Especially since Van Heck is not particularly good at DEFCON himself. Like him and Guehi have slightly lower DEFCON rates than your more popular DEFCON picks. Podcast, podcasts and fantasy. Thank you so much for your super chat. Palmer and Cherokee or Foden and Gordon on the free hit. To be honest, I don't know if there's uncertainty around Gordon. I almost think that I would go for Palmer and Cherokee and just go for the punt there. Like I think when Cherokee has good minutes, I don't think he's a very different pick to Foden at all. It's kind of sad that I'm not doing a Cunha captaincy. Feels different this. All right, back to the live chat. Gordon starting. I would think Gordon starts, right? But the main question, like, I don't, there's no Newcastle. First of all, the issue with Newcastle is that none of their sources are serious. Like, every year we get really incorrect Newcastle sources. So even though there's rumors on the timeline that let's say Gordon could be benched, like, I wouldn't take anything seriously out of that. My indication would be that he starts. If Ballard was in the squad, you'd be hotter on Cunha captaincy. Yeah, but he's definitely not going to be right. Palmer starts. I think he starts. I can't really see why he wouldn't be. Rogers or Cunha, I'd go Cunha Graham. Free hit draft. If you run it back a little bit, I actually did go through it, but the concept of the free hit draft, I think, is double United defense with Dallo and Dorgu, and then probably Ramsdale and Hall or Tio if you can afford him. 3-5-2 structure where you probably go Saka, Foden, these types of players, Palmer as well. Ekitike, Holland, and that's pretty much the team, right? Cunha too. Um, Gabriel to get a power header goal. I kind of hope he and Kipia can do it. Not a super chat. Rice out, Turkey in. Yeah, I think that's a fine move. However, you do have to just kind of accept that if you're going for Turkey now, you are kind of understanding that you might have to use another free transfer in the future to address Turkey, especially given the amount of depth that they're bolstering the squad with, right? With Semenyo coming in, with Doku coming back from injury, and then eventually, of course, Marmoush coming back from AFCON. But Marmoush is probably someone who's just going to take ancillary kind of Holland minutes for the rest of the season. I think I'm going to Holland captain. I think I'm kind of set on that. It do be like that. CM7627, bench one, O'Reilly, Van de Ven, Rogers. Okay, Van de Ven's versus. I would bench Van de Ven, I think. I think I'd still start Rogers. You can't tempt me with a Cunha Hall. I don't know. Look, I don't know what it is. It's not. I don't have anything against Cunha. I do like Cunha. I just think I'm struggling to understand how United are going to completely squash Wolves with the kind of team that they have on paper. Um, and I do think City are going to be good. After the whole move, you don't agree with the Rice to Sobo for a -4 to bench Thiago. I don't agree with it. I don't think a hit is actually as valuable as you think. Nice team, Fran. Anderson, Defcon in the bag. I hope so. Calvert Lewin question mark. I mean, I'm not going for him this week. I mean, what is the question here? His first name, Dominic. Cunha stays off the score sheet out of respect for his former club. Well, he did get on the assist sheet though, right? Right? Why Richards when he's flagged? I mean, like, what's wrong with playing a player that's flagged? I mean, if someone starts, they start. If they don't play, they don't play. The flag doesn't really make a difference. M7MDAB, thank you so much for your super chat. Bench Pino, Lacroix, O'Reilly. I would bench. I think I'd bench Lacroix then. Yeah, I do agree actually with starting Pino at the end of the day. They still lack a lot of depth in that team. And he came off after a pretty poor game, still like at what 82 minutes or something like that. Bench Senesi or Mukiele, probably Senesi to be honest, because I actually think that Bournemouth away are kind of hideous as a team. Why switch captain to Holland? I just think Sunderland aren't particularly great right now. Is Keane injured? I'm not sure. It just seems like he's out of the squad. I don't know why. Why am I so pretentious? Having an ego over fantasy games is pretty funny. It's an interesting question. Do you think Thiago will start? I actually do think so, but it's kind of hard to say, right? Because obviously he's had managed minutes before, like for example for the Arsenal match, and then obviously a multitude of like FA Cup and Carabao Cup ties. Um, so we'll have to kind of see. I personally think he would, but you never really know. Happy New Year to you as well, Football Mad. Start Wilson or Calvert Lewin, probably Wilson. Um, um, Thank you, James. Appreciate that. I mean, to be honest, I just trying to answer questions, but there's questions obviously that are just like leading questions that I just don't really respond to well because it's like, what do you want me to say? Like, I can give you the answer that you want, or I can actually just give you my opinion because it's an opinion. Bench Konate or Tio? Definitely Konate. I think I'd bench. Play Keane or Minte. I think I would play. Well, I mean, Keane actually seems like he's out of the squad, so at that point, you're just relying on Minte. Why the last minute Holland captain? Nothing really. I actually just like kind of think that I'd rather back City and their ability to do well. Um, that's all. I wasn't particularly impressed watching Sunderland last match, to be honest. Unfortunately, Um, Gavino9899, thank you so much for the super chat. Hi, Fran. I have one free transfer and 0.8 in the bank. You've got Keane, Richards, Rice, and Thiago. Bench cover of Anderson. Anderson's great bench cover. So is Mukiele, to be honest. Do I move Richards to Theo Hall, Nor? If you've got one free transfer to us, I probably would actually just go for the Richards to Hall move. I think that's something that's going to serve you well for the next 5 to 6 game weeks. How many free transfers do I have? Right now, I've got 0. Savage. Start Mintier and Kedia. Probably. Well, I mean, I think so instinctive I think mentioned that he's a little bit concerned with the kind of Minte minutes, and he's pretty good, knowledgeable about Brighton. Maybe from that context I probably would actually just play Nketiah. Nketiah does seem like he's pretty likely to start. Do I think Richards actually starts? No. I mean, the reason why Richards is in my squad is because I think if he starts and he's in the squad, I'd much rather have Richards than, let's say, Anderson. At the same time, I also struggle to see how Richards would somehow just be put on the bench. Like if he's not able to kick a football, you don't put him on the bench, right? I think if he's able to kick a football, then he's able to start the match, if that makes sense. Because his injury is more about like pain tolerance and things like that, right? Because that's kind of how the situation is described. He has stitches. He needs to put on an extremely tight football boot. So if he's able to put a football boot on and play, he's gonna play and I think start the match. And if he doesn't, he doesn't. That's kind of why I think like situations like this are quite binary in terms of how you kind of set up your team. If he doesn't appear, then I just get an auto sub. Why did I switch from Cunha captain? I don't know. I just feel like I'm a little bit more confident about Man City. Nothing particular. I think it's a 50-50 decision. I don't think like I wouldn't criticize anyone for going Cunha. I think it's an amazing captaincy. Just a bit of a grassy take, I guess, for me. Am I locked on Captain Holland? I mean, if you want to chase rank, I think Cunha is perfect for this. Like he specifically, I think, is amazing actually for that purpose. How about picking Trossard as a differential? I think I'd still be concerned about Trossard's. Hmm. I think my concern with Trossard, I suppose, is still minutes. But if you're super confident about his minutes, then I think that's fine. Tavernier better not outscore Thiago. I don't really think Tavernier will outscore Thiago, but that's the whole point of having an auto sub, right? You still want someone who actually plays, and you have really good depth, and I think that's a huge pro. One final look: Anderson over Guehi and a Holland gap. I would definitely play Guehi over Anderson. As far as Holland captaincy, I think that's up to you. Um, like I don't know why in particular I'm on Holland, but I just like the idea of Holland versus Sunderland a lot more than I feel comfortable about United, I suppose. I mean, I took the risk last week with the Ekitike captain, right? Because I knew that Holland's ownership might be extremely high, like 180%, I believe, was what it was in the end. So I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't always try to just play purely based on risk concepts, though. So I don't know. It's a tricky situation. Captain Foden or Cunha? I mean, I think I'd captain Cunha personally. Solio has Holland ahead of Cunha. Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah, but I think it is marginal. It's not like kind of. Is that the deadline? Oh my god, I literally have not even. I've not even been paying attention. That's so funny. All right, so that is it. Somehow, we kind of let the deadline slip. But thank you guys so much for joining the stream. Really, really enjoyed the chat. And yeah, best of luck this game week. As someone mentioned sort of previously, liking it really does help the algo. And we will try to get a review stream on. Obviously, like things are turning around so quickly. I will try to do a review stream. Saka race incoming. Yeah, I would love to see that. I'll probably stay up honestly for like the next set of games because, well, I mean, there's going to be lineups for both teams eventually, right? So you'll get so many lineups anyways. It'd be interesting to actually see like what the lineups are. I wonder if I just stay up. I could stay up actually for the next 14 minutes. So you guys want me to stay up anyways? I'm going to stay up and just see like what's up with the teams in the next 14, and then we can probably just head off after that. Excuse me. Sorry. Would you have started? Kind of nice to see you around as well, my friend. Would you have started Foden over Bruno G? Yeah, I definitely would have. What do you think of Calvert Lewin? That was my question. Yeah, I think Calvert Lewin's great. I just can't really get towards my team. You took a -20 and feel really dumb, but we live on. Man, I've taken a -16 in FPL and not a flex. It literally is just this game is sometimes very much built on luck, but I literally still ended up in the top 500 like 5 weeks after that. How are you doing? I have 2 free transfers and 0.4 in the bank. Would you hold or sell these players? Calafiori, I think I would hold. Semenyo, I would sell. Richards, I would hold. Thiago, let's just wait and see with his knock. Minte, I probably would sell if he gets benched again. VVD, I would hold. Anderson, I would hold. Keane, I think I would hold unless he's injured, long term. No one's believed you should play captain from Pong, buddy. I mean, send a screenshot, to be honest, on Twitter. Did I chicken out of Cunha captain? I wouldn't say I chickened out of it. I've been on Holland captain mentally probably for the last day. I posted a tweet about it last night. Well, last night in Hong Kong time, so I suppose that's more afternoon UK time yesterday. You hope you do not regret going Ekitike captain. I mean, I can see that doing well. I mean, to give Leeds a lot of credit, like they've become a really fearsome attack, but I don't think their defense is like by any means amazing. Miley scoring and getting assists with DEFCON could happen. The deadline's 2. You thought it's 2:30 Hong Kong time. Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure the deadline's like it's done, right? Have I lost my mind? No, the deadline's definitely here. I'm gonna quickly post about my team though, anyways, on socials. Like, why not? All right, that is that. Oh right, I actually forgot to mention that I'm actually doing a Holland captain on the old Twitter post. Yeah, I don't know. Sometimes I think emotionally in terms of captaincies, I do kind of like picking the ones that I feel more comfortable with. Like I don't think I can say like, okay, am I referring to this model, this model, or like, this model, market odds, etc., etc. Like, but sometimes I just like if I like emotionally I'm gravitated towards the decision, and yeah, like I don't think the risk preference piece is massive for me. Then yeah, I'll probably just consider a different captaincy. Like to an extent, I think something I've looked at, like for example, like when I was looking at the odds last week for Solio and even the market odds, I think like Ekitike feels like pretty underrated. I'm not in Singapore now. I'm actually back in Hong Kong for a bit, and then I'll fly back to London. But this deadline specifically, I mean, like in terms of the Premier League matches, right? So for example, match day 20, I'll be recording content in Hong Kong, then I'll fly, and then I'll be around for the Game Week 21 deadline in London. That's kind of going to be my schedule. Will Devaney start on Nketiah? Did they not both start the last match? Or am I stupid? I could be stupid. God. I am so stupid. Yeah, I guess Nketiah did come on. Hmm. I don't think Devaney was amazing that game, so maybe like Nketiah could just start. I don't know. Yeremy Pino also wasn't particularly good though, so I wonder if like I actually do wonder if Yeremy Pino could actually be the one who doesn't start this match, because you could play Devaney plus Nketiah, right? That could happen. I think. Um, you just play Devaney on the left. Am I gonna sleep or stay up for the games? I mean, I've stayed up for most of the games like pretty late into the night, like every day. So I probably will actually watch as much of the football as I can. But at some point, I'm just gonna have to pass out. Am I watching the Arsenal game? Yeah, I'll try to. Um, won't do it on stream necessarily because I kind of just want to relax a bit. But yeah, I mean, we'll wait for the lineups in 8 minutes and just react to that. Is there news about Timber now? Trying to see actually, I don't really see it. I mean, we have seven. Well, not 7 minutes. Like literally, what 51 minutes? 52, 51 now. Um, trying to find my like post on Twitter. I'm actually pretty depressed that I actually own Enzo Lefebvre and I have to actually play so much of him. But I don't think Sunderland can really play much worse when some of their players come back from AFCON and things like that. And obviously, like players like Ballard come back into the squad a little bit later into the future. We will see. We will see. All right, fine. I found that post now. Yeah, I made a post about how um, I had Dom Sobo at home and it was Elf. Because obviously, like Enzo Lefebvre is basically like what, like from a more like analytical perspective, it's like kind of a player who has decent DefCon numbers, right? So obviously, he can get a DefCon from here and there, but is not like exceptional. Like he's not at a Weaver level, he's not at an Anderson level, he's certainly not at like a Caicedo level, but he's got decent-ish DefCon numbers. However, the role change I think doesn't really help with that in particular. I don't know whether Sunderland will change their tactics though, because like watching them versus Leeds, they weren't exceptional. And they did. I think it actually kind of helped. Like in the first half of the game, they actually had complete control, and then obviously, um, Leeds was sort of with Ampadu, and then I think Nueka coming on was quite strong. Um, but I don't know. The only time I felt like I just felt like watching Sunderland play, it was kind of hard to see like Rose basically passing to Mukiele like every time, and then Mukiele would have free like space to just run down the flank, but then he would just get closed down by like Okafor and whoever's I mean like Goodmanson as well, um, which didn't make any sense to me. And then like the other piece would obviously just be like Shaka distributing from deep, which worked out obviously a bit better, but like I don't think Lefebvre got into the game much until he suddenly was moved back into like kind of a more of a right mid type position, and they actually had like two strikers, playing in front of him, Whereas for the rest of the game, I think, when he was kind of playing at this attacking mid position, he was pretty quiet. But not every game is going to go like that, right? So, like not every team's going to set up the way Leeds do with sort of a pseudo back three, with Ampadu there, given that Rodon was out. So, this, like, I mean, I'm not going to overplay that match in my head too much. It's not like Sunderland's XGI had been fantastic, but it's like, still takes bans, still does a bit of DEFCON-ish stuff. And then the numbers in open play are, they are what they are. They're kind of close towards like Granit Xhaka's type of numbers. So at that point, you're basically saying, okay, can I get a miracle penalty like on one of the few weeks that I play Enzo Fe? Possible. With Sobo, it's kind of similar. Like he's got slightly higher DEFCON rate, plays right back like half the time, which is not ideal. But there's going to be like decent set piece share from him, especially since like Lefebvre does take some of the set pieces, but the big difference is a team like Leeds, as you could see within that match, like Stack I think took at least like 10 plus corners in that game, whereas like Lefebvre, I can't even remember more than two. With Sobo to an extent, like with this Liverpool team, like you're going to have the same sort of pro from that perspective. I'm just going to have to turn my camera off for a bit, but it's all good. Richarlison too. Keep Rice. Why'd I switch back to Holland captain? I just kind of felt like it. Thank you very much for joining the stream. Am I gay? No, I'm actually married to a woman, but not that it matters. Gabriel will soon become essential. I don't disagree with that. I mean, I might just have him next week. Skincare routine is definitely not great, so let's not drop that. Mom, I'm on the internet. Yeah, my mom's literally behind me, so I've just turned the video off. It's all good. I love how you say the word particular. Yeah, I probably like. I think sometimes I fixate on a certain word and I just like keep on repeating it for whatever. Like I think to my like over this trip, I don't know why I've said presumably like every 5 minutes in an in-person conversation, which is just lovely. Pedro Neto will haul. Fair enough. I mean, like I did not know there were Pedro Neto owners around, but we are back, and we can discuss Pedro Neto in a moment. Would I consider getting VDV next week? Probably not. For someone like Keane out. I mean, Keane still has really good fixtures, right? As long as he's fine. Hey, Fran, here from Twitter. Stream just saved me, thanks. Awesome. 1K before the end of the year. What's the 1K for? Sorry. You did Calafiori to Gabriel and Semenyo to Sobo, and now left with 1 million in the bank with Minte on the bench. I think that's perfectly fine, mate. Richarlison had 2 goals and 1 assist last game. He will haul over the next period. You heard it here first. I mean, he was good. Are you talking about the 2 disallowed goals? Is that kind of what you're suggesting? Are you not going to sleep a bit before the games? I mean, it's like I'm just not a napper, so I can't do that. Lineups are out in 1 minute. So we're just going to react to what Gordon potentially being benched. I think it's so unlikely that he gets benched, though. Like, I think that'd be crazy, but if it happens, it happens, right? Team news is on the way, all right. What other kind of teams are we actually interested in terms of the lineups? Let me just think about it. Chelsea, of course. But it's like, is there anything controversial? Like what, you'd find out Palmer's benched, which is like, is that even going to happen? No. I guess we find out Keane is truly in the lineup or not, right? And then West Ham, nothing controversial there. Maybe we'll just stay, like, you know what? Why don't we just stay up on the stream? We can just stay up until the Arsenal lineups are out as well. I can do another 45 minutes of this. Why not? All right, Newcastle lineups are out. Ooh, yeah, Gordon starts. Oh, Walter Mudd is benched. So that's the interesting news there. Barnes starts as well. I'm trying to think now. So Murphy's on the bench, which means, I mean, more than likely though, like it's like, I guess what? So it depends on between Gordon and Barnes, like who's actually playing worse, right? Because the way you're setting up here in this case, like you don't necessarily have to like for like everyone. You could probably just bench Gordon at some point in time and just put Murphy on the field and still move Barnes to the left. It doesn't necessarily need to be Barnes coming off, right? But yeah, Wisa starting is interesting, and then Joe Linton starting is nice because Ramsey's been starting a lot of the games recently, and finally he's benched here. Oh, and Pope starts as well. I actually missed that. Sorry, that's pretty massive because we had Pope on the bench last week, and now he's back. Have people transferred out of Pope? I think they have, though, right? Quite recently. Pretty sure that's been a pretty popular move. Keane is actually out. Yeah. Well, hopefully we get Moyes kind of explaining what is going on with Keane, because I'm, yeah, not happy as an owner, as a Keane owner. Well, not so keen anymore. Um, yeah, Minte. Oh, actually, Minte starts, which is interesting news. Barry starts. Roll's actually back in the lineup, so that's interesting for Everton. You know, we can monitor that situation going forwards because that's some additional depth. Oh, excuse me. Don't blame me. It's 2 a.m. 2:16. All right, Minte starts and Jorginho's benched. Not surprising, to be fair. Jorginho's benched and Welbeck starts. Okay, I see. I see what it is. Ooh, did Reece James get benched? Let's go. Let's go. That's quite nice. I I mean, like, I have to laugh a little bit because, like, people did actually just move into Reece James, right? And presumably you moved into Reece James for this game, not for the Man City game. Let's just that's good for my draft though, because I do have Fofana in my drafts. Akiampong starting is interesting. Wait, Gusto also playing. That is that a Reece James issue? No, let's not let's not overreact. I'm so sad about Michael Keane. It's a terrible day for rain, as they say. Um, I'm actually sad that I might not own Antoine Semenyo for the rest of the season. And that's pretty depressing. Maresca roulette, wow. João Pedro benched. True. How high is João Pedro's ownership? Hope you're enjoying your trip away and thanks for all the content. Thank you so much, mate. Sky Blue Rob. Ultimate bench is surprising, to be fair. I've got to actually drop him on the cheat sheet, right? I didn't really expect it because I didn't think, like, Wisa was, like, good enough to start a game. That is not ideal, though. I mean, he's got to drop. Like, at least the pro with someone like, I mean, like, João Pedro has to drop in the cheat sheet. What am I doing here? See, like, I moved both of them back up recently in the cheat sheet, but actually it's just a bad decision. Maybe Thiago has to drop the cheat sheet as well if he doesn't start the next game. It do be like that sometimes. Welbeck actually probably could rise a bit in the cheat sheet now that he's actually, like, available to play football again, which is, good for him. Pretty sure I transferred out of Welbeck in a lot of my teams across the board on fan team. So I actually need to manage that situation a little bit. Okay, Jorginho, I'm probably just going to take out of the cheat sheet. But isn't, like, a midweek benching is a bit of a weird one too, to be fair. All right, let me just does anybody play fan team here? Kukurea is injured? Wait, what? Where do you get the news early? Just on Twitter. James also benched. Yeah, I mean, James is benched. But that is kind of expected, right? It's like the con with James is always midweek football. Like, you can't really get away from that. But yeah, Kukurea, yeah, you're right. He's actually out of the squad. Okay, that's a pretty unideal situation. Grealish is benched. Okay, so he must be, like, struggling. Esteve is back as well. Semenyo starts. That's not a shocker. I kind of need Semenyo to keep it quiet, though, right? Not ideal that actually Reece James and Kukurea are gone now, because I'm pretty sure that's a much weaker team. 4.0 John is starting. That is true. Am I reading Andy's tweet? Of course I am. You just entered James' party 20 minutes ago and party's over already. As someone's tweet. Oh man, that's depressing. Yeah, no, I know that Everton team looks awful. Thing is, like, it's not too different from the Everton team that was like against Burnley, right? From a does that team look awful or not point of view? Yeah, it's not pretty. Esteve is back. That's nice. Pretty good for owners. James on free hit. That's pretty rough. I mean, I don't think I would have actually gone for a Chelsea defender over, let's say, a United defender. But I mean, I did actually recommend Ramsdale, though, so I'm probably trolling. John, thank you, mate. Have a good New Year as well. See you on the other side. Faraz, yeah, I could definitely use a moderator. Just past you, mod. Who do you think is a better defense, Nottingham Forest or Sunderland? I think full strength, probably Sunderland, but like I mean, like just given the injuries and all that stuff and the lack of strength, I would say probably not Nottingham Forest at this moment in time. Keane on the Everton squad. We don't really know exactly what the issue is with Keane. Clivert was such a good asset last season. I mean, there was a run of games where he actually got a ridiculous amount of penalties. Yeah, Ballard out is terrible for Sunderland, and that's not even an Afcon issue. That's just kind of like an injury issue, especially since they play a back like a specific like kind of structure in the sense that like he's such a key player. Like even on like I don't know like all the kind of actions that they have with like long throws and like even like some of the stuff that he just does in open play really like winning second duels in the midfield and stuff like that. Is this the last week to be suspended for 5 yellows? Yeah. So basically, if you get suspended this week, you will still get suspended for gaming 20. But obviously, like if you like come away with a suspension, it just resets. As in, like the new total is going to be 10, as opposed to 5 for our threshold. And I do believe that the 10 yellow card suspension is a 2-game suspension. I basically want to stay up for the next 30. I actually need to manage my teams, and fan team is something that I've forgotten about. I mean, Palmer starting is a bit of a nice thing. I've got Welbeck as well. I need to kind of. I've been moving Welbeck out of my teams, and I kind of feel like I shouldn't do that anymore, especially since like this is such a good game on paper. We'll probably need to just monitor that briefly. Or maybe, actually, you know what? I should just sell Welbeck anyways, because that guy just causes me depression. So let's just forget about it. I'm happy with the moves that I've made elsewhere. Cunha's out? Wait, what? FPL Harry has like 5 different 4 yellow card players right now. I mean, what players does he have right now? Actually, I haven't seen his team in a bit. Um, did he make some transfers? Because I think he said he was gonna go Saka, right? Oh, he's got Ellie Anderson, Dorgu as well. Oh, he made three free transfers. Okay, he's gone Raya out. That's pretty interesting. Oh, Raya out to actually go Saka and Rice. Interesting. So Dorgu in. He's got Richards, but he's got 2 auto subs, so he's fine. So he's in reality playing Anderson and Anderson again, right? Foden, Cunha, Saka. Yeah, it's a good team. Dorgu. Yeah, I mean Dorgu's gonna work quite well for the next run of games, right? I mean, I'm trying to think about it, like everyone is just trying to work their way towards Palmer like in 2 weeks. So it's just like, whatever moves you make, you want to try to get Palmer in. In my case, I guess like I've got money in the bank, so obviously I can always just go Hincapie to Gabriel. And as I said, like I do need 2 retransfers to get to Palmer in 22. But it's not like I don't think like my team is bad by any means. I think it's actually in a pretty good spot. So has he used all his free transfers there, or does he still have more? Maybe he's got one more, right? I don't really know how many free transfers he has though. Do people sold Minte this week though? A lot of them. Well, they like I've seen people who've actually benched Minte. Interestingly, it's kind of surprising. I don't know. I feel like people do overplay situations in terms of like reacting to like press conference comments. Like some people were thinking that Minte would have much less minutes, but I guess like everyone was still at the end of the day, like you are trying to win games as a manager, and Minte actually is a bit of a difference maker compared to let's say Gruda. Q's not even on the bench. He wasn't on the bench last week, no? Or am I crazy? I mean, Q's a pretty horrible player, but I think what Lap is in the squad, right? So, I mean, sorry, that could be quite offensive to you. But it's just like there's no Champions League, sorry, no Conference League, so it's like it's kind of hard to justify giving him minutes this year. It seems like they just rather have like Delap play, João Pedro on the bench, and like you don't see yourself, I guess, ever playing Gu. Mount is set to not be included in MUFC's matchday squad against Wolves tonight. 26-year-old is dealing with issue from Newcastle game. See, this is actually why I didn't want to go for Cunha, because it's like that is a horrific team. So that's Center Devils who have shared that. Yeah, I mean, like, it's gonna be Fletcher United, right? His injuries mounting up again. Oh, that's funny. Vab's wildcard must have. Well, the funny thing about the wildcard is like every week you go in FPL, like you just suddenly change the wildcard template, right? So because the Newcastle Burnley game is gone, I guess from a Game Week 20 perspective, if you were to start from there, well, first of all, I think is there a justification to maybe not go United? possibly. I think I'd definitely not have like Szoboszlai, so he probably wouldn't be on a wild card. Um, Rogers would probably be on the wild card instead, like someone in the midfield of that ilk. Um, you can't really touch. You could reevaluate this Minte performance and I guess use that as context to just like go for Minte in the future or not. He's obviously going to play versus Burnley at home, but actually like the fixture run after that for Brighton's pretty poor, so maybe you just would never go Minte. I think you definitely just like kind of stack leads. So I think it's like Calvert Lewin and Stack would be on the wild card starting from this week. Um, Maybe Kudus could be on the wild card. I think it's actually worth watching like Tottenham this week and just kind of thinking about like whether you like Kudus's minutes and stuff like that because like I think he's an interesting pick at an interesting price point too. So he's definitely one of the options. Um, I mean Semenyo is just gone now from the game, so that's kind of like that's a lot of money like you know given back. Um, I probably wouldn't touch Turkey so much, but I still really like the price point of a City defender. It could be Nunez to be fair now over O'Reilly, and that could work out well. Probably Gabriel does fit onto the wild card. Um, I don't know if I'd go Tarkovsky in the wild card per se, because like Game Week 20 is a pretty poor, like, well, let's just see whether he gets suspended or not, right? Because I think, yeah, you probably would go Tarkovsky, especially if Keane is a doubt. I need Keane back though, so I would love for him to be back. You probably could still persist with the Newcastle defense. I think that's fine because it's like the Newcastle defender would probably still be a better option than let's say I don't know, a Crystal Palace defender in the short term, or like, yeah, you probably would be, yeah, you probably would go a Sunderland defender. These are the kind of like things that I'm thinking about in terms of like the draft. And unfortunately, the midfield landscape is a bit weird because like I still wouldn't touch Palmer on the wild card for this week because if you skip, let's say Bournemouth at home, like I don't think the the launching point of like a City game away is where you really want to start with Palmer or even Fulham away. So I think you just probably move into Palmer for Game Week 22 instead. And you kind of just like make sure that you've got room to go there. Sade, I think, is the boat missed. Tricky question. I don't even know if Ekitike would be on the wild card personally. Because you've okay, so Leeds at home is gone. Maybe you'd actually go Bowen on the wild card, especially with Thiago uncertainty. But would you go Bowen and Calvert-Lewin? Maybe not, right? So it's just Calvert-Lewin plus Holland. I guess we can build the draft. I don't know if FPL's reset though. No, it still hasn't reset. I'd love to kind of build the draft, but that would be interesting. Oh, apparently there was like a Newcastle leaker who said that Gordon was going to get benched, and he's deleted it, the post. Um, yeah, I think Will NUFC has been pretty good recently, but the problem is like I go through phases of like banning people. Well, not banning people, but like blocking people, muting people who are in the know per se, and when they're not, and then they actually come out with like good news eventually or occasionally. Um, I really kind of want to see like what's going on with Arsenal. Like if let's say Calafiori's not on the bench and stuff like that, and whether we get some press conference comments on like what his injury's like, if the injury is even pronounced, which we'll find out in 25 minutes. But we can see what is my top. It's like it's a North Face top. Um, your top FPL finishes top 112,000 overall. let's hope you can get to top 100,000 this year. Am I aiming to win FPL now? I mean, I guess I always will be aiming to win FPL. Newcastle League is the worst. I do think so, yeah. But also part of it too is like I remember like a couple of years. Well, actually, no. Who's the journalist? Craig Hope, right? Craig Hope, I remember, was actually trying to do Newcastle news, and he kind of got bamboozled by like Newcastle. I think he was like intentionally source baited at one point in time, and then he kind of had to make a public post about it. So kind of funny. But yeah, they've been pretty good about, I guess, like trying to eradicate sources that give good information about Newcastle over time. I mean, as all clubs really should do. How's my mom's food tasting? Yeah, it's great. I'm enjoying the holidays. Yeah, I definitely am. Who's got penalties for Bournemouth? I mean, I think Clivert takes, and then actually Tavernier, right? Are we just talking about the expectation that Semenyo is leaving the team? You studying Newcastle, not a leaker. Just a name for your channel. You can use FFH to build a draft. That is true. That is true. Um, the main thing I think is like that site also updates, right? Well, you can obviously just do like yeah, I think you probably have to just check it like when it's when like the toolbox is available, because I think what happens like with even like I don't know, let's say you use any other third party site for now, it's like they tend to kind of update with the API and then suddenly everything's available again, right? Keen being out is tragic. Yeah, I mean it's not ideal for me, right? Um, yeah, Craig Hope has so much venom for like even like Jude Bellingham, even like I mean the reporting from him was like on like what like getting substituted was just like absolutely ludicrous. Keane is soon out anyways. I probably would transfer him out and give me 24. Yeah, myself. A lot of Newcastle fans do try to force a Man U rivalry. I mean, that's not even the thing. It's like I don't even know. Like Craig Hope is literally just like a bit of a hit piece maker. But it's like also kind of like the line of work, right? I don't know. If you guys remember, like the Ekatike reporting over the summer, I can't remember which specific Newcastle journalist I'm thinking of, but like there was quite a bit of vitriol between like Liverpool fans and that specific journalist, if you guys can kind of remember. And I can't obviously at this moment in time. Opinions on Mateus Fernandes from West Ham? I think he's fantastic. Honestly, I think he's such a brilliant player. I can see him literally like, I mean, he kind of reminds me of like Reinders in a sense, like just simple passes, like give and go, quite smart, but probably like playing a little bit deeper, like in terms of like his role for West Ham, right? And Reinders obviously is a bit more advanced at City, like tends to take the ball less. I think like the change in role recently has been more so like, you know, players like Bernardo and Foden drop it a bit deeper and take the ball on, as opposed to someone like Reinders, who I think has done it in other leagues, but you know hasn't really done that role specifically for City. Oh my god, why is there a car like beeping at 2:40 a.m.? I don't know. Maybe there's a carjacking going on. Is Havertz back? It seems like it, but like you know, we can only find out in 20 minutes. Um, there was a lot for us heard in Newcastle journalists over Sesko. Oh right, yeah. To be fair, I mean, I kind of remember like so for example, like Ben Crellin, like I because obviously he's a Newcastle fan, right? Like I remember like he was like stirring the pot as well a little bit over the summer transfer window, and then obviously like you know Newcastle didn't really get their first targets, but then they still like got a fair selection of players, you know, including Waltermod. You captain Cunha, perfectly good pick, nothing wrong with him. Chalobah's the only option next to Palmer. Yeah. I mean, Chelsea's run like truly starts in game 24, but obviously, like, getting to Palmer in 22 is ideal. More ideal, let's say. No Wee from the Brighton squad. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I dropped him in the cheat sheet and I haven't reacted to that since, but I think it might be injury related too. What's the what related to? How come Harry Wilson has never got a bigger club move? Bit of a weird career though, right? Because I think if you actually look at his Premier League minutes, it's not been exceptional, right? So for example, like he's had good like seasons with I think like both Fulham and I can't remember what like Cardiff in the Championship, but like actually his Premier League minutes like have not been good at all. Like he's really struggled with injuries, I would say. Um, what time is it for me? 2:41 a.m. Holland hat trick this week. I mean, you hope so. You hope so. You certainly hope so. Are Sunderland stocks failing? I think it's more of a failing in terms of the short term, right? Like for example, the squad depth right now looks a bit weak, but it's not necessary. It's not suggestly they're not like it's not really a suggestion that like the Sunderland squad's going to be bad long term, right? Like I think we actually kind of rate the Sunderland squad. It's just more a case of like, do we think that this team can struggle in the short term, especially with Ballard being out and then all the players gone to Afcon, gone. GMT+8. I mean, I'm not based usually here. I'm just in Hong Kong for the holidays. I was born in Hong Kong, so it's technically home. Am I married? I'm not a finance bro, but I am married. Yeah. Um, so then with their Alderete would make it top 10. It is Alderete like a new nickname? I've definitely not seen that. Is my sleep okay? Yeah, I mean I'm on holidays. It's all good. Consulting, bro. Not even just an audit. Just an audit, bro. Is it time to upgrade Reinders on cheat sheet? Perhaps Tavernier too. But my concern with Reinders, right, is like if you think about the squad, is like, with the amount of wing depth, does Cherky not move inside and stuff like that? I mean, I guess audit in some form is like finance, but not really. So I'm not gonna say that per se. Mm, you're going to consulting? Yeah, I mean, let me know how it goes. Whiskey for New Year's. Not too many people in my family drink, but I'll probably be on something. Hong Kong's a great visit. Yeah, I mean, it's a lovely place, honestly. I mean, obviously it's home for me, so it's a bit different in terms of like the context of like how I view Hong Kong. But what's my goal for 2026? I mean, obviously there's like some work related goals. I don't really know career wise where I'm going, but yeah, busy audit period is coming up. Definitely next 2 months. We'll get through that. But yeah, I mean, from an FPL perspective, I'd obviously love to have a great finish and then have that be like, let's say I have a good finish, build that into a wonderful World Cup with fantasy and like honestly, I mean, like I don't know. I mean, like if I have let's say a really good period over this, you know, year, I mean, I can see myself making it to hopefully 75k subs. Like that would just be the goal. The more aggressive goal would be at 100k subs, but I think that's pretty unlikely. So let's just not set that for now. Um, Welbeck back, I think I'm just concerned with because it's just like, he just struggles to play enough, like, or significant enough minutes, right? So, your concern with someone like Welbeck is always going to be how long does he actually stay on the pitch for, and then how long until his next issue. As far as De Kuiper, I think there's too much depth now back in the team, especially with Matoma back, you know? So, like, can you really expect much when let's say Brighton have Matoma back and they've got more, specifically more depth in the left wing position, like for example, like even Gomez plays there. So that would sort of be my concern, I suppose. And yeah, I mean ultimately like all those left wing players playing at left wing again also just means that you'll only have De Kuiper like left back, which is not that interesting, right? Because he's not a def corner either, and obviously like that just takes away his baselines. Never say never. Thank you, my friend. You've topped your fantasy channel, bro. Yeah, that's the goal. Is the lineup ready for Arsenal and United? Nah. Still 13 minutes. Still annoyed Bowen's a striking FPL. At the same time, though, it's like okay, maybe they've made. I think they've probably like overpriced him by 0.5. I think it's been a bit harsh, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, like imagine if you took Bowen out of the forward position. Like we really lack options in the forward position. I mean, to an extent, like it's literally like Calvert Lewin, Ekitike, Thiago, and that's it. Like if you own any other forward, like I'm kind of surprised that you would do. Like that's not to insult anyone's forward lineup, but it's just like João Pedro and Altamad could be benched like today. Mateta, like still he's got such flimsy minutes still. Welbeck, injury case all the time. I guess Watkins is the only one, but it's like Watkins literally came off the bench to score versus Chelsea. He clutched up your FPL season last year, so you want him back in the midfield. Is that Bowen? Yeah, I mean, I think he kind of ruined the end of my season, but everything was just poor. What do you think? How you'll do balance? I mean, like obviously, I think the long term goal is to probably do just FPL full time if I could, right? Um, that would definitely be the goal. Some pretty big benchings. We still don't even know exactly what is going on. No way. Did Stormzy actually do Thiago to Waltermat? Bro, that is depressing, man. That is depressing. Excuse me. That's not me laughing. That's just me being tired. That's tough. That's tough. So he reacted to the Thiago news and went Waltermad. Oh man, that's tough. That's just tough. Oh. It's gonna be a weird game with the United game. It's like if I'm watching it, I'm kind of hoping Cunha doesn't do well because I know a lot of my friends have captain Cunha. Like in terms of analytics, there's nothing wrong with Cunha at all. Why are we worried about Cunha? I think we're just worried about the lineup that United's gonna put out, right? Captaining Cunha is not dumb. It's not dumb at all. Yeah, he's gonna be less than 100% EO, but it's just as I said, like I'm in many leagues where Cunha's ownership is gonna be a little bit over 100% for sure. Like it's probably gonna be like 150% or something like that. In more of the analytics kind of type mini leagues that I have, so that will be a little bit annoying. You just went Gordon overshot in the 50-50. I mean, he started, so I think you're already off to a good start. Um, Stormzy had no bench and started Walter White and James. I didn't even see James. I didn't even see James in the team. Oh man, we need to look back. We need to look into it. I just kind of read the headline of it. You know what I mean? Not like what's his username again? FPL Storms, right? All right. To be fair, he's got Chalaba. Ooh. Goodness. Right. Nah. To be fair, oh man. That's crazy. That's crazy. Uh, I bet he wishes he was an Ekatike owner now. Um, the 10 days you had in first place was fine, but it's time to reclaim the throne. Wait, what is this? First place for what? Is this the mini league, the work mini league, or what is this? What's my overall rank? I think like 9,245 or something like that. I don't know. FPL updated now. All right. What were we discussing? Potential wild card. My brain is too fried. Let's not even go there. But you know what? We can just set up the team for next week. Why is it not? Okay, it's reset. So we're not gonna play Richards. Oh, I'm gonna play Enzo Lefebvre next week. That is depressing, my guy. Fine, we'll play Enzo Lefebvre. My one concern is if I play Enzo Lefebvre and suddenly the guy doesn't turn up because of the yellow card versus Man City. Is that like that's very possible, to be honest. That's very possible. It's Man City as well. Um I guess I'd have to take a hit. Because I do want to go Hincapie to Gabrielle, but I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't do it early. Because if Calafiori's like out, you know, like I mean, I could probably keep Hincapie for another week. I don't think that's too crazy. This is not the worst team in the world, right? The bench is not great, but let's just pretend the bench doesn't exist. Yeah, bench doesn't exist. This is a good team. Am I right or am I right? I am playing a 30 defender versus Chelsea, so that's obviously to go splendidly. How does the website work for me? I guess you just have to refresh. Yeah, I actually think that's a pretty decent team. Lefebvre pick is the strange one. I mean, it's him or Stack, right? And obviously, I've probably chosen the wrong player, but it's kind of just praying for penalties, and hopefully we'll get it. Is Bruno playing? Like Bruno G? Yeah, Bruno G's playing. All right, 5 minutes until we get an Arsenal lineup. I do want to check what the United lineup is as well, so I'll make sure to actually be hovered over that. What else do we want to check in terms of lineups, right? I guess like technically the Villa lineup. Not that anything controversial should happen with Villa's lineup, but you know, why not? Bruno Fernandes. No, I don't think Bruno Fernandes is playing. Unless like Amram's like completely bamboozled us, which is fairly plausible. I can't even really go back into Bruno now that I think about it. I mean, I'd literally have to take a hit or something. We'll see. I am still alive indeed. I mean, there's literally no world where Dorgu doesn't start. Like, they just don't even have enough depth. He is there and supporting the team. Like, there, as in, like, what, he's in the stadium in the street clothes? Or. Oh, he's, like, signing autographs, what, like, in the stands or something? Yeah, Bruno's definitely not playing. Um, that's the chip refresh as well, to be fair. Give me 20. Ooh, some people. Quite a bit of Cunha captain, to be fair, on the timeline that I've seen. What's Moises' update? Please don't tell me it's bad. Let me read this. What's he said? We don't have a lot of changes to make, and we only got Jack Grealish on the bench. He shouldn't be, but he's still ill. But if we need him for a small period, we might need to use him. But if I had my way, he wouldn't be on the bench at all. Okay, fine. Basically said nothing there. Did he say anything on Keane? Well, at least we got the Keane 10-pointer, right? Let's just see what the actual issue is with Keane, though. That would be nice to know, I would say. I can't wait for this Arsenal lineup, not going to lie. If Hinkapie doesn't start, I'm logging off. I'm logging off instantly. We're not even going to talk. Panic refreshing right now. Panic refreshing. He's not going to say what the injuries are. What a guy this guy is, man. Fair play, Moyes. Fair play. Please tell me Hinkapie starts. I'm actually desperate for it. We've done it, mate. Hinkapie starts. Let's go. Hinkapie has actually just been such a gold option. Keane retired. Fair play. Yeah. We did it. We did it. That is massive. Absolutely massive. Anything nice with a Villa lineup? Pretty much what we expected, right? Oh, that's massive for us. That's absolutely massive. I would like to just see how Gabriel is going to get managed in terms of, like, I personally think if you think you're going to manage Gabriel's minutes, surely what you do is you move Hinkapie back into left center back, and then you play Miles Lewis Skelly like 60 minutes into the game or something like that, 65, 70 minutes. But like it'll just depend on how the game's going as well, right? But yeah, I'm pretty excited to actually have a Hinkapie. I mean, we might actually get another Hinkapie start in the midweek. That Man United lineup is certainly something. I mean, it's not the worst lineup in the world, to be honest. It's just Ugarte kind of stinks, right? That's it. It's not a super controversial lineup. That's not that's not Dorgu right wing though, surely. That's Sesko, Cunha, Xerxes, right? Like as a three. And then a double pivot. Yeah, just a classic back five. That's not Dorgu right wing. Or am I misunderstanding? Oh, hmm. 4-4-2. I don't know though, because it's like 4-4-2. Like you're playing. Like in the previous match, like we didn't even have like Xerxes. I don't think that's really a 4-4-2 though, right? Like in the previous match, you had Xerxes come on for Sesko, right? So it was like for like. Now I don't see how this is a 4-2-3-1. I mean, I think this is like back five, but it's like Dorgu on the right and like Cunha's in the 10, but where's Xerxes? Xerxes next to Sesko in the 9. I mean, like no, like this is just a back three. I mean, Cunha always plays off the left, anyways, like just naturally. I have to say that like Xerxes, Sesko, Cunha is. I mean, like yeah, good luck to Cunha. He'll have to cook this game himself, as he has done before. As he has done before. I guess Xerxes could play in the 10. Yeah, yeah, that would make more sense to me as opposed to Cunha in the 10 because it's just like no one is playing left mid. Yeah, I mean Xerxes is like he's as they call him a 9.5. Do you guys think that Bournemouth is going to? Do you think that Bournemouth is going to play? Sorry, do you think Gabriel will start versus Bournemouth? I think the toughest thing is you just don't know until we actually watch this game of football, and probably gotta log off soon. Am I even like mentally invested in this? I need to actually understand like what the threats are for this match, so I can see if I can get tilted. Calvin Phillips triple captain Haaland. Okay, I guess it is Dorgu right wing. Yeah. Do you guys think I can squeeze one more game from Hinkapie? I'd love to do a watch along, honestly, but I'm just like I think like my energy is just going like it's just so low. I mean, Gabriel was always going to start this game. He's been in training the whole week. Um, I can see a 3-4-2-1, 4-2-3-1, like, but mostly just because like I mean, it's like you can quite easily move in between like shapes, right? Like for example, like I can see the setup where it's like you start in the back three, but it's like suddenly he just like tweaks people instructionally, and then it's like it's a back four, right? Like we've seen that before. So for example, like what's a good example of this? Like I think when Cunha was injured, like do you guys remember when Cunha had the potential concussion or whatever the Christmas light related injury was? In terms of like the news reporting around that, um, I'm pretty sure we saw like Ahmad play on the left, which was like similar to the Spurs game. And then they just like like he's not happy with it. Suddenly he just like tweaks it back to like people playing to different positions. Like I can see both lineups basically is all I'm saying. You think Palmer's gonna mega haul? I just think selling Saka does feel a bit weak as a move because it's like I don't think there's anything stopping from Saka doing well. Does that make sense? So like whilst obviously Palmer, I think this is a great game for him. I would have free hit with Palmer. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's gonna be like a really bad Saka game where like I think Saka's like still such a great hold. He's a bit boring to be fair, but you know he still does the job. He still does the job. I think the best part of the stream was actually looking at KSI's team. Ooh, Saka on all corners. That's a will he? Trossard could take them, right? You don't think so? And when Martinelli comes on, I'm pretty sure Martinelli will take. Yeah, I can see the foot mob 3-4-3. I can also see the 4-2-3-1. I think it just comes down to what you think Xerxes can do, or what even Amarim thinks Xerxes can do. Odegaard takes some, like more like from a free kick esque type position. I mean, Odegaard has the same strong foot as Saka. I don't think he actually takes free kicks off. Like I don't think he actually takes set pieces off of Saka at all. Arias is playing the midfield. All right, we got football coming up soon. All right, I was actually gonna quickly check on my threats before I get sad for this week. Okay, I've got 5 major differentials right now. Wait, why do I have 5 major differentials? Oh, of course, right, because I've got Keen auto sub. Wait, is Richards out of the lineup? No, no, no. This is a bug, surely. Yeah, okay. I guess I can. I still need to wait for Richards news. Which is obviously going to be interesting. Um, that's a pretty far way away, though. Although that actually gives Richards more time to get fit for this match, which I quite like. Keen's not going to turn up, so I think yeah. Why does it say that the safety score is 1? Surely not. Okay, in terms of threats, though, In terms of threats, I can't really see the effective ownership on my threats right now. Maybe that's just because I'm stupid. Right, yeah. So I think Semenyo's effective ownership is still so high, 46%. I mean, you have to hope that that doesn't work out, though. Obviously, it's his like swan song game, but it's like, come on, don't turn up for that match, please. Timber is obviously a massive threat, but it's like when Timber's a threat, I don't feel too bad because obviously I've got Hincapie to kind of hedge against that. Tiago being a threat, hopefully you think he's out. Rice being out just means like people hopefully have like people have been taking -4s. People have bad auto subs, so I think Rice being at high EO is fantastic. Rogers has a tough game. Virgil's going to be a major threat that worries me. Guehi does, but hopefully if Richards turns up, I don't feel so bad about that. Wilson, I don't mind because it's a tough game. Wirtz, don't really mind because I've got Sabo. Chalaba, yeah, kind of want Bournemouth to score, but it can't be Semenyo. Waltermart, we don't mind. Dubravka, we don't mind. Senesi, we don't mind. All right, not the worst game week, I would say, in terms of threats. Now, in terms of Cunha effective ownership, like just to quickly look at that, I'm gaining, 33% on Haaland. Wow, actually, the Haaland captaincy is like so high. It's like higher than last week somehow. Wait, I'm actually completely blind. I'm getting 70% effective ownership on Cunha. So I'm actually just stupid. Cool. Ekitike's, that makes sense to be fair, because I think Ekitike was actually a really popular captaincy pick last week, and that's just dropped down now. So he's gone back down to like an ownership, which makes sense relative to. Wait, yeah, yeah, Cunha 31%, Ekitike 86%, Holland 182%. So still net gain on both, but it'll be boring. Well, not too boring with Cunha, to be fair. 70% of him is nice. Really good risk, though, for a lot of people who went there, so that's nice. Richards is, like, super low owned. He might actually price drop, but I'm hoping he doesn't. Kind of feel like he won't, but we'll have to just see. Seems like he's going to drop. All right, perfect. Ooh, my camera's been off. Sorry about that. All right, I think that's perfect. And best of luck with this game, you guys. It's a bit messed up, but what it shows. New question, but I was wondering whether the final lineups are posted the earliest. Yeah, honestly, like the easiest way to find the lineups, my friend, is just literally go on Twitter for the clubs that you want to look at. Like they post specifically 1 hour and 15 minutes before the game starts. So, for example, like if the FPL deadline is, let's say, I don't know, 4 p.m. like it was today, I guess UK time. Is it 4 p.m. or 6 p.m.? I can't remember. But like technically, if you waited 15 minutes, because the deadline's always 1 hour and 30 minutes from the first game, like if you waited 15 minutes, you could just go straight into the Twitter of that team, and then you'd actually find the lineup being posted exactly 1 hour 15 before their match starts. I do think Palace will probably get Brennan Johnson to become a regular starter. But I mean, Ismaila Sarr coming back, I think, is kind of interesting because, like, from a relationship standpoint, I think Pino and Sarr is a really good balance in contrast to, let's say, Sarr plus Brennan Johnson. I feel like there's not too much creativity there unless you think Wharton can do absolutely everything. What to do with Keane if he's out long term? Well, with Keane, I think the issue is like, oh man, that's gonna be tough. I can't really do Keane to Gabriel, so I probably would have to do something like Keane to Hall, but I'm really hoping that he's fine for the weekend. This is not ideal. I mean, Brennan Johnson could play up top, but I guess Mateta's going to leave the club. But I think for the rest of the season, you've still got Uche Mateta, right, and Nketiah. And I still think Johnson is naturally a bit more suited on a wide position. Yeah, stream's still going, but we will be done soon. So thank you guys so much for joining me. And the lineups were positive. Positive in terms of, like, I think all the minutes in terms of the players that I have in my team are perfect. As perfect as it can be so far, given that Keane is out. So yeah, we'll just leave it as it is. And wait. Okay, I'm gonna quickly check. I didn't even know that Rice was. Yeah. Wait, Iraola says he expects Antoine Semenyo to be available for Bournemouth in the next game versus Arsenal at home. mean, to be fair, at the end of the day, it's Arsenal at home. It's not a particularly good game, anyways. So I'm just gonna have to hope Sabo actually does something. But Semenyo could kind of just go crazy. I wonder also when Semenyo will actually get transferred, though, right? But I mean, that's a positive for Bournemouth. Am I aiming to win FPL this year? I mean, we're gonna try our hardest. Great stream, Jay Watts. Thank you so much, man. All right, take care, guys. Enjoy the football. I know I certainly will try to. So, hope you guys get some green arrows. Take care, and I'll see you.